ice cream shop with the
Taylor Street. But no, this one I got from the from Jewel. Oh, we're going live now.
Hello, welcome to. These guys are just talking about ice cream, Italian ice.
Shaved ice, different.
We're just talking about Italian ice over here, baby.
Welcome to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. Yes, we've changed the name. No, we haven't changed the fact that we're an Xbox-centric podcast. It's just for licensing deals, so hit me up, anyone, if, you want to sell your brand stuff and things. Absolutely. I'm terrible and probably won't do it. I've already got a brand that's supposed to be supporting us and I haven't advertised it once. Shout out to Poggers. I should probably start doing intros. And seeing as Umbra is sitting at the top.
How'd that happen?
Welcome back.
Yeah. We're going to start off 2024 right, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, with the name change reflecting me, Infinite Umbra. Is it
what? How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things?
It's been an interesting week. Unfortunately, this has been an odd week too, because, and I know Boom is like, what's going on with this man? So I didn't have my show this week, unfortunately, as we didn't get a chance to plot things out, whatever, and because we got a lot of moving parts. The new year kicking in, I hadn't made a move. We just hadn't had a time to get together, right? Me and Danny. Tuesday, I was so tired. By the time came, I was woke, ready to go, dozed off before Boom's Xbox Factor and missed the show. Today, I told him, I said, hey, brother, I can join you Friday if you want me to come on and join you. I joined him. We have a good show. About 2 hours worth I did. Right at the end, where we need to sign off and everything like that, I was KO'd. And I woke up to messages and text messages like, where are you at?
You fell asleep?
I fell clean asleep.
Oh, that's never happened.
So messed up. When you're really, really tired, you'll do things out of the norm. So I got up out of my seat, laid in my bed, and went straight to sleep, like purposely. But thought that if I just sit down for a second to rest my head, I'll be okay when it's time to sign out. Because you don't think logically when you're really, really tired. And man, I went straight to sleep. Luckily, I got through the show, so I had my points made and everything. But it was hilarious when I woke up. I hope Boom is not too ticked off with me. But other than that, it was a good show, man. It's been a decent, interesting week. But it is really good to be back here with you guys for our first show of the year. And, with our audience here. Thank you, family, for being here with us. It is just us today. So we're going to carry this and have fun. And welcome to my new podcast. Again, it was named after me. So, it is what it is. All right. Ain't that right, Holly? You don't want to. You didn't want to confirm.
Something like that.
Well, moving on to JediKnightPete. Welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? Hang on a minute. Let me just see if I can find the thing.
JediKnightPete. Oh, hang on. That's the wrong one.
Anyway, how you doing?
Well, I'm gonna get some cool fucking song and I get that nonsense. Welcome to the show, everyone. Happy 2024. It's great for all of you guys to join us. I had a pretty quiet week. I've been camo grinding. Unlike others, I won't mention names. So I didn't pay someone to get my camos for me, so still going through that. And I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 with Panda, which has been, we started a new game together a couple of days ago, and that's been a lot of fun. Really been enjoying that. So looking forward to getting into the Infinite for 2024.
I've been replaced. Welcome.
Well, you said you didn't want to play until they fix the save issue, and they ain't ever fixing that save issue, brother.
Well, that's true. That is true. I did say that. Moving on. Welcome back. ThatBlueNumber. Holly, how you doing? How's your week been? I'm working on the. What do you got? What do you got? Play it.
That's my theme song that Riskit did not put on his soundboard, so I have to play it for you myself. It's okay. It's LCD sound system, and they're awesome. Hey everybody, happy Friday Day. I just made that up because it's an American Friday and a Saturday in Australia. So there we are. I, unlike some other slackers here, finished the Call of Duty camo grind, and I'm so grateful that Pete reminded me how much better I am at Call of Duty than he is. Because
I didn't
I got
mention
the
names. Wow.
Interstellar. I mentioned Interstellar. I got it last week, and I didn't get to brag about it last Friday on the show, and I'm making up for it right now because that was a really big deal, and I was super, super happy to get it. And now I run around the map
Congratulations.
with Interstellar in
That is
every
awesome.
gun because I have to show off my dominance. Yes. I also finished it's just like a dog peeing everywhere along the sidewalk, right? Like I have to drop when I die, I drop my Interstellar gun. Like that's right. That's right. I have Interstellar and you don't. And I also finished Alan Wake 2. Finally, I made it my New Year's resolution to finish it, and I finished it at 3 in the morning on New Year's Day.
What'd you think?
So I heard a lot about Weesing before I ever got to it because I played through most of Saga. I played through all of Saga's story up until the point where it's no return, and then I went back and I finished Alan's up, and it actually intersects really nicely that way if you do Alan's after it. But anyway, it is Weesing. Like even if you have no intentions of playing this game, you should definitely find a streamer online that has just uploaded chapter 4 of Alan Weesing and watch it because it is like one of the coolest moments in video game history in such a unique way. I don't know. I can't talk good enough about that. But the game is a masterpiece. The combat is horrible, heinous. I hate every part of the combat. But Remedy
Wait,
is
how's
really,
it a
really
masterpiece
good
to you then if you hate the combat?
because the world building is phenomenal. And to be fair, right, Remedy has been really good at like building these worlds and interconnecting them, right? So it
Yeah.
seems like Remedy's career of story building and intricacy and all that stuff, right? Those were all kind of practice sessions up to this point where it really like just came together great. The story's fantastic. The world is stunning. The detective stuff, I loved that part of it. Might not be for everybody, but I really, really liked it. And there's a lot of collectible things that you can do if you want that enhance your experience with the shitty combat and just some other stuff. But the Remedy combat, I've never liked Remedy combat. I actually think Alan Wake 1 remaster had better combat than Alan Wake 2, which
Ooh,
is just a thing. But other than that, every other single piece of the game is
really
fantastic.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It is. It is.
Yeah, well, I was interested
So
to see what you thought. I know Pete hasn't finished it and probably won't because he doesn't really play games like that. So
Yeah, it's definitely not my type of game, brother.
Oh, so you didn't like it at all then? Is that what
I
happened?
didn't like it at all. Yeah, it didn't jerry with me straight away. But I also think that it's a great game that
it
you got
took
to
me
be
a
in the
while.
mood for. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
It
there
is.
when you were
Yeah.
playing the game whole, and you were finishing it off, and you thought it was over what 3 or 4
Well,
hours earlier, and it kept dragging on, and it didn't feel to me that you were
but that's
really
because
into
of
it.
combat.
Okay, all right.
But
Yeah.
also, I do think it's one of those, there are some games in life and movies, TV, whatever, right? That you have to sit on it for just a little bit and then see how you feel a few days later, a week later.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Got you back. I got you back.
Yes, it's the
I knew it
Infinite
was coming.
podcast. We love it.
I said it.
I need
Yeah,
a pause
but
button.
that's one of those. It is to me. It is. It is.
But
I
you
can
were
pause.
raving about
I can
chapter 4,
let
weren't
that
you, Holland?
digest.
Do you think the game is worth playing just for that chapter?
So not I'm not gonna give away a lot, but basically you have to start the game to get to a certain point to open up that option to do that, to play that chapter. But it is like the first chapter that you can play once you get to that point. But that point is probably 10 to 15 hours in.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I will say when I started Alan Wake 2, I was having a hard time kind of getting into it. I also think it's because I did the remaster in October and tried to jump right into this, and I was so tired of running around the woods with a flashlight. Like, I was just really tired. So, like, to do it again, I was just like, I just did this. You know what I mean? Which is probably not
Uh-huh.
the best
Yeah.
way to
Was
To
it
me,
was it scary to you? I'm sorry.
No, for me, it wasn't scary, and
Uh,
it wasn't scary to me, but I know that there are some things that certain people found scary. Riskit, was it scary for you?
no, it's just creepy. Like they're actually
Yeah.
doing Alan Wakes because you're always on. Because I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played
You're
it.
on
But
edge.
yeah, you're always on edge because you don't know who's coming at you or if they are coming at you or they're not coming at you, and you're always slow walking around with your gun unholstered, just like,
Mhm.
is it this guy? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? And then they're really good at sort of lulling you into it. Like you get sick of doing that, and you're like, all right, I'm just going to run through, and the next minute they're all on you, and you're like, what the? Come on. Yeah, I thought it was an absolute masterpiece, and it is because of the storytelling. It's not really because of the gameplay. The gameplay is serviceable, I would say. I do like that kind of gameplay. I don't mind that. It's very Last of Us, Resident Evil 4, but just a slow burn,
But
and
see,
it's
I love
really,
those too.
yeah, it was
I
really.
love those too, but I just don't like the way they do it. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I have no
Yeah,
problems with the actual mechanics. I just don't feel like it works well. I'll
I
shut up.
think if you've played Control, you've played, God, what was that Xbox one that bombed, but is actually really, really good? Can't think of the name of it right now. If you've played
Quantum Break.
Quantum
I
Break, yeah, if
always
you've
forget
played
that name.
any one of those games or all of them, this like brings them all together so they all actually intersect. Max Payne like is in there as well. They obviously didn't use the Max Payne IP because it's owned by Rockstar, but like it's in there. Like everything is absolutely in there and all sort of brings it together. So that to me is why it's a masterpiece. And that sequence was just like, oh, this is so cool. It was a cool sequence. Absolutely nailed it. And when
I
they
actually
brought it,
stopped and restarted in the middle of it because I was
yeah,
like, no, 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 I can't. This can't be over yet. I gotta go back.
yeah, it's so good. And when they
It was
brought it to the Game Awards, like that was so cool to see Sam Lake up there, like doing his thing. I really love that. We do have to get into topics because this one, guys, the reason we don't have a guest this week is because this is an absolutely huge week. And my missus has put me on a time limit. She does that. So we've got to try to make it through an entire year. So we're looking back on 2023. It was a massive year for gaming. Some would argue one of the biggest years we've ever seen. Definitely since the early 2000s, 2007. There's a lot to go through. And what I want to do for each month and the way I've sort of set it up is, and this is obviously going to be quite conversational. We've started out conversational and this is how we're going to roll with it for the rest of the show. But, and I don't know if you guys know, I usually keep a bit of a tight thing on to keep us moving along because I like to keep it to within 2 hours. We probably won't do that this week because there's just so much to go through. There's a lot to talk about. And I'm going to start out each month with the games that dropped. The bigger ones for me, and if anyone's obviously, if you guys have got your some ones that I've missed that you want to talk about through that, each month, absolutely bring those up. That's cool. We haven't managed to catch up through this week, any of us. Normally, I'll catch up with at least one or two. Now, I think I saw Pete for one day, and we haven't really had a chance. I've been flat out at work, and everyone's just been busy with the New Year and Christmas, so. This is quite fresh. We haven't had a chance to talk about all this stuff, so it's going to be good. So, kicking it off with January. And the first game that sort of dropped and I think set the tone for the rest of the year. I think people were already talking game of the year when this dropped was Dead Space, the remake. My setup to this was I played this through with Grey Monad, he's either in the chat or he'll be on his way. We went through Dead Space. I went through Dead Space 1, and then I went through 2, and then I went through 3 with Grey. And then this dropped, and I got to play through this, and to me, this was an absolute masterpiece. I really love this game, and it's on Game Pass now through EA Play, and I recommend if you haven't played Dead Space, absolutely play this game. It's brilliant. They didn't add too much. They just sort of beefed up the fidelity of the game, and that was enough because and they changed the mechanics slightly. It was a little bit more fluid. They just sort of modernized the whole game, and I think they absolutely nailed it. Got an 89 on Metacritic. What about you guys? What are your thoughts on Dead Space?
Well, for me, with Dead Space, I thought it was actually really excellent. I mean, I love the original, so I hadn't had a chance to fully finish this one, actually. I need to get back to that, so I'm glad you mentioned it. But yeah, they're very faithful to the original. And this was a different team, if I'm not mistaken, working on it, right? It wasn't the original team. So they did a really good job as far as that atmosphere, really, really creepy. Sound design, excellent. Like, you really feel like you're inside the Ishimura and just creeped out by all these weird sounds and things like that. So they did a really solid job on sound design and atmosphere. Top 2 things you definitely have to have in a creepy game like this, right? Combat, really nice. Faithful to the original, and I think improved in ways. So, and visually, of course, gorgeous. So, all in all, very well worth playing, worth having, and definitely a strong kickoff to 2023. 100% agreed.
Oh yeah,
I had an
definitely.
interesting time with Dead Space because I had just played the Callisto Protocol, which was Glenn Schofield's game that was meant to be, pulling on all those things that they brought into Dead Space all those years ago. And although they're similar games, I still think that the original was the best. I think that Dead Space is a far superior game to Callisto Protocol, but because I had just played Callisto Protocol in the month earlier, I never actually got through all of Dead Space, and it's a tough game. It's not easy. It's very, reminiscent of those older games that are a lot more difficult to play. But as usual, I use the plasma cutter, for most of the game. Very visceral. I think that EA did a fantastic job revitalizing the franchise. I think it's in Unreal Engine 5, Umbra. I'm not sure. You would probably know better than me, brother. But yeah, just sound design, the look of the game, the feel of the combat. They changed a few things up so you can actually see Isaac's face this time. I didn't particularly like that. I like feeling like that you're the one in the suit. The movement system was quite fluid. Yeah, just a really great survival horror game, and definitely recommend playing it. And you're right, it started off the year in the right way.
Blue, did you get a chance to play Dead Space?
Nope, not yet.
But,
But
yeah, look, I highly recommend
even
you
though it's
do.
on Game Pass, I bought it. Yeah, I do want to. I have a friend that's like their favorite game series of all time and was pushing me hard, but they also wanted me to stream it because they thought I would scream my head off, and I probably would. I I I do want to play it, but when it came out, I had just finished Callisto Protocol, which was the wrong choice out of the 2. And I was just not in a headspace to play those games back to back. Plus, I figured it would come to Game Pass, which it did. And now that I just finished Alan Wake, I need another palate cleanser. So I'm replaying Cyberpunk now. So maybe after that, I can get that one off my backlog because I do want to play it.
It was a huge year, and there's probably games in my backlog that I need to get to, and we'll come to those as we get through the months. But another thing that happened this month was Forspoken
We got a big one though. Exactly. I was gonna say you had the biggest game, Forspoken. How dare you ignore that? I think you all can tell that.
I think the biggest thing that happened in January, if we want to go on that, is the Xbox Developer Direct, and it really did show what Xbox had in store with the shadow drop of Hi-Fi Rush. which blew up. Amazing game. Umbra, I think you played it 7 or 8 times. Really got a very, very different game from Tango Softworks. I was upset because I wanted the Evil Within 3, but boy, did that game hit and hit hard. And yeah, just set the tone for Xbox the entire year.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
Definitely.
100%. Hi-Fi Rush, definitely for me, if I had to say for overall for the month of January, clearly stole the show. Like you said, I played through it a good 7 or 8 times, something like that, and I still have some things to do in it. You know, just we had a blessing of games that really took me away from doing what I wanted to do on other games. So it's like we had a strong overabundance, being real. And that kind of like, well, you made a point too, Pete, where you pointed out that what was that other game, the Callisto Protocol? That when I played through that, which was underwhelming to me, I think it kind of gave me a delayed reaction to Dead Space, where I was kind of like, I don't really feel like playing this kind of similar style of game, although clearly Dead Space is head and shoulders above it, but it definitely has the same kind of spirit. So I think that was a bit of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely put a bit of a, I know for me, because Dead Space is one of my favorite franchises, it wasn't a problem for me to get through it. But that was something that I heard from a lot of people. I'm not going to get this because I've just played through Callisto. And I'm just going to give this a miss and come back to it. I think a lot of people did that. But yeah, we'll jump to the direct. We'll come back to Forspoken. That direct was, for me, fantastic. I think it was the first step out after 2022, because I don't know I'm sure you guys will remember 2022 was dire, especially after, I think, a strong 2021 when we thought we'd stepped off and cool, this is the time, it's happening. Xbox is starting to get some cadence happening. And then 2022, I think we had the delay of Stalker, which I think will be the shadow drop in the direct later this month. And then 2022 happened, and then the direct landed, and we're like, okay. I think everyone was cautiously optimistic at that point. Like I know I was like, and then one of the things that sort of that put a little bit of a shadow over the direct, like they dropped that Hi-Fi Rush. Look, I haven't finished it. It was okay for me. I didn't think it was that great. It's just not my type of game. I mean, it was, but I just didn't want to move to the beat. I don't like being restricted. But I mean, you can play it without playing the beat.
His way. That's his way of saying he has poor rhythm, guys. That's all that is. That's, it's all right, Risk. We get it. See, yeah. See, you clapping.
It wasn't my solid game either.
He's clapping on the
and
fours and the eights. He's not on the ones and threes. That's all it is. Yeah.
I'm an offbeat man. Yeah, look at Pete. I think we were both the sort of same on it. But the one thing that put we were cautiously optimistic, and the thing that sort of threw a little bit of a spanner in my works was, and I was always waiting for Forza to launch because I thought it was going to be that graphical, showpiece. It was going to be the game that we see the hardware perform. I don't know if you can say it was that. I think it's absolutely solid game, but I think it may have been overhyped. I think there's a lot of Xbox games were, and we didn't get a launch date, and that put a bit of a, oh, come on, Xbox, for me, for the direct. And we obviously talked about all this at the time, but it was the beginning of what was an absolutely stellar year, I think, for Xbox. Hi-Fi Rush.
100%.
Yeah, there was a couple of things in the direct, like Redfall was shown. Obviously, that game didn't hit, but we were very much looking forward to. And I think a game that a lot of us forgotten, Minecraft Legends. That was a lot of fun, that game. So that was also in the direct.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't bad. Another one that wasn't really for me either. But I could
Age of Empires
see.
2, I believe, was there too.
Yeah, that was the drop, right? That was another drop. That was straight into Game Pass, wasn't it? From memory. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was 4 that dropped into console Game Pass. Because that's when they added the controls for the controller.
Yeah.
Was it 4 or Age of Empires 2?
I think it was 2. It was definitely 2.
Was it?
Definitely
it was 2.
It was 2. Yeah, because I remember that because
definitely.
I was pissed off. I was pissed off at Xbox 2022 not releasing 4 in 2022 when it was such a a dead year for first party, it would have been the perfect game to drop to say, hey, we did drop a first party. But Magnum Westwood in the chat says Forza was so disappointing. I don't know about disappointing. I think it was overhyped. I don't think it didn't do anything that it should have done. Like it did everything it sort of needed to do. There was obviously some issues at the launch of the game. But I honestly think it was a good solid release when it did release much later in the year, which was the disappointment for me was, come on guys. I was pretty sure it was going to launch earlier. But Blue, your thoughts on the Direct? Was there anything there for you? Hi-Fi Rush, was that big for you?
No, I didn't play it. It was not my style of game. I know. I love that they did it.
Oh yeah.
The art style and stuff wasn't necessarily up my alley. I think that's what turned me away more than anything, which is not fair. And I do intend to go back and try it. But I was just off Callisto, and I don't know, I had a couple other things going. Plus, as KLZ180 points out, in February, Atomic Heart came out. So I was kind of slow rolling my way for Atomic Heart because that was a huge one I was waiting for. But yeah, I didn't play. But it's really cool. I love that they did that, and I wish they would do more of those. I think they're just amazing. Well, everybody loved that game, so it's great.
I think they will, and I think it sort of solves the problem of overhyping. I'm going to jump back to something else that happened in January, and then we've got one more thing to hit on January, and we'll try to keep moving. But Forspoken released, as I like to call it, for Broken, and it shut the studio down. And I think this was the beginning of... I think this is the beginning of sort of so 2023 was a contrast year of like really good games, lots of great releases, and some really bad news, I think, for developers across the spectrum of 2023. And we're definitely going to talk about that because we've obviously got to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. This was definitely one of the uglies. I mean, this game could have been really good. And with the talent they had working on the story with this, I thought this is probably going to be an okay release. And I thought it was going to be pretty good to begin with. I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, and I thought this might meet me in the middle, might meet me with the combat of Final Fantasy when they go into that action sort of space like they did with 16. And what we got was just horrifically bad. The storytelling was supposed to be, top notch. I think it was Amy Hennig they had, and another storyteller, I can't remember his name, but he's also fantastic. And they actually ended up working on the parts of the game that was it Gary Whitta?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was Gary Whitta.
Gary Whitta.
Forspoken?
Yeah. I like Gary, but that's a misstep right there.
Almost definitely. But I think the story that they told, because I played a little bit of it, like not a heap, but the parts that Amy Hennig and Gary Whitta actually handled wasn't the dialogue, the physical dialogue. It was the text in the stories that you find throughout the world. So they tried to world build through text, and it just really did not come off. Combat was off. It felt like just too light and airy. It had no impact. And yeah, it was just overall just a really terrible release. And Luminous Productions, using their Luminous engine, which they touted as fantastic, I think the game was running at 720p when it was in 60. And it's just a really bad offstep, I think, for PlayStation in a year that PlayStation had one of the worst years I think they've ever had. Yeah, absolutely. Blind Right in the chat. Yeah, I don't have memberships turned on. I don't feel I have enough to offer you guys just yet, but I will. I'm working on that in the background. We'll get there. But thank you, man. I really appreciate the support. I
could always just to say I could always, sing something for them if they, subscribe and just Oh yeah.
I think Pete Number should record a duo for members only.
No.
Why am I being thrown into this?
No cameras, you gotta sing.
That'd be horrific. From both ends.
That
I think
record
that'd be.
pool was just in time too. Yeah.
Pete like, nah. Oh, God damn it. Look, yeah, I mean, I think we all.
No, but I,
Forspoken. Just another. Square Enix had a really, really bad year last year, and there was just another disappointing game by then. I was really looking forward to it. I think the protagonist was excellent. I'm not sure who voiced her, but I think she did a great job in portraying the emotion. I just think the writing she had to work with was just terrible. Also, that wristband thing that you got was really like annoying, I heard. But Risk, I remember when you got that game, I think you rushed home to play it. You were really excited to play that game when a lot of other people were playing Hi-Fi Rush. That was, a game that was really exciting for you. So most of what I know about that game I got from you, and you really didn't like it.
No, it was a massive letdown. Yeah, because if you remember, they released a demo. So I was like, wicked, got the demo. I'm going to get home and play it. And I was just like, oof. And then there was the usual stuff on Twitter that always happens. Oh, it's a demo. They've got 3 weeks to make it better. I'm like, nah, man.
yeah, I
You
remember
can't fix that.
And I put in 3 hours and some minutes into that on a demo, and I was like, nah, this won't do. And then we see the release after the fact when people would review it, and it had the exact same concerns and issues we had when we played it. Yeah, the non, tactile like combat where you hit them, you don't feel anything. You just felt like a breeze, like you're just going through air. To me, the one thing I did like was the movement. So to the parkour style running that she does, that's about it. As far as the voice acting, Pete, you're talking about the lady who voiced her. Her name was Ella Balinska, who played in different things like Resident Evil TV series, Run, Sweetheart Run, and I think 2019's the reboot of that Charlie's Angels movie. But other than that, and beautiful sister, by the way. But yeah, definitely trash game. Sorry, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It's just not a good game. And it was bad enough where Luminous went under for it. So let's just be clear. It's not just us saying this. It's just not a good game. And we had a bunch of our Hoove brothers that tried to stand up for it. Oh, it's great. It's superb. And you just have to play more. And in game, it gets, nah, no, thank you. I'm not wasting, 10 hours, 15 hours to get to something where I might like it. I'm sorry. And I have to say that because I remember the hypocrisy I had in my heart where I pointed out like before with what's the name of that game by Kojima where you walk around
oh my god, yeah,
Death
Stranding.
And people were like, oh, you gotta wait about 5 hours. Yeah, Death Stranding. And they were like, you gotta wait about 5 hours, then you get into it. I'm like, I'm not playing a game for 5 hours before I can get into it. And then Starfield
Really?
comes
You've never
along.
done that? I've done that a lot.
Starfield did it for me. I felt like a complete hypocrite because when I did Starfield, then I was like, well, you all got to play more before you can. I was like, oh, shit. I'm caught. I'm caught.
No, but the combat in Starfield was good enough to pull you through. I mean, honestly, in Death Stranding, you're just walking around. Now, so you played both of them, Umbra. What was that other game that we played together, Atlas Fallen? Both of those games had very similar styles where you're like running through the world. Which one do you think pulled it off better?
For me, it was Atlas Fallen. I actually really enjoyed Atlas Fallen. It wasn't perfect by any means. It had its...
We'll get to that. That's later in...
I'll delay.
That's later in the... We're gonna get through these months, man. There was one other thing that happened in January, and I hate to cut you guys off, but there was one other thing that happened in January that sort of set the tone for the year, like Dead Space set the tone for like getting great games. This really set the tone for what we were going to see later in the year, and that was Ubisoft canceled multiple projects and started laying people off. Now, this didn't set off the alarm bells for me because obviously I believe that Ubisoft is extremely developer heavy. But it was the CEOs and I believe founder of the company's statement that was more interesting to me after it. And he said, the ball's in your court. Today, more than ever, I need you to fulfill your energy and commitment to ensure we get back on the path to success. He basically laid a whole bunch of people off, canceled a whole bunch of projects, and said, it's your fault. He later on retracted it with a statement that wasn't really a retraction. It was more like what I said was cool. You guys just didn't get it. So
yeah, his foot squarely in his mouth. I mean,
said,
by the way, that was on the.
He said, "I
Can I
heard your
defend for a
feedback,
little bit?
and I'm sorry it was perceived this way."
What you saying, Holly?
Dude. Ollie?
I'm gonna defend him just a little bit. Not that it was the right thing to say because you are the head of the company. You know, but as a manager, you do get in a position where you have something that's due, and it has to be right. And all of that pressure is on you to make sure that your department delivers, right? And there's only so much you can do because you can't go do all of the jobs, right? So sometimes, right, you know what's coming if you don't deliver, but you can't tell people, right? Like, this is what's coming if you don't deliver. And then if it doesn't deliver and then you have to do something like this, it's sort of one of those like desperate. I'm not saying this is what he did, but there is like that desperate cry of like, I really need, please, let's get this thing done how we need it to get done. That way nobody loses their job in the back of your head, right? Or not more people lose their job in the back of your head. But I'm not saying this is right.
No,
I'm just
look,
saying there are times when people are in that really tough position to know what the cost could be if things aren't done, right?
yeah, and look, I get
what I
get what
take
you're
from
saying.
that is that Blue is anti-union, anti-workers. I get it. Thank you for telling us this. Now we know you're on the corporate side of things. No, I'm joking.
God. Blue. Now, look, I get
you,
from
Blue. You were the chosen one.
from a manager's position, I get what you're saying. But like when you're in a really public space like gaming, that's just not the that shit's going to get out there immediately, and it's not
of course not.
Yeah, it's not the way to approach it. It's look.
I agree. I agree.
And when
I'm just saying sometimes people are in such a vulnerable position that they say something that comes across the wrong way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't do that in a public forum. That's really stupid.
Well, look, in contrast, here's another way to sort of put it, right? Because later on in the month, we saw layoffs from Facebook. It was like 21,000. Amazon laid off 9,000. Google laid off 12,000. And it was just something. I mean, we're still in that financial environment, that economic environment where this is still going on. And Microsoft laid off 10,000. And Phil's, I think, like statement was much more curated, but a lot better. His statement was, "This is a challenging moment in our business, and this week's actions were painful choices. The gaming leadership team has had to make decisions that we felt set us up for the long-term success of our products and business, but the individual results of those decisions are real. I know that hurts. Thank you for supporting our colleagues as they process these changes." He was focused on the people that lost their jobs. And whilst it's shitty because they didn't record profits, but they had a ridiculous amount of profit that year, still laid people off in preparation for the coming storm economically. Yeah. And I think that's the way to approach it. Like you need to be empathetic with, and let's be honest, a lot of these people who run companies are psychopaths. That's a proven thing. But you need to at least feign empathy. And I think Phil's isn't feigned. I think it's definitely true that he was focusing on the people who lost their jobs. And that really set the tone for the rest of the year. I wish I'd set this up better because I could have had like...
Sorry.
Go.
Phil has an extremely high emotional intelligence. And I think that you'll do all these stupid tests when you supervise people, right? To test your emotional intelligence, because that's part of being a manager, right? Is to be able to speak to people and sympathize and be able
I fail at everyone, by the way.
Don't doubt it. But I'm just saying, right? Like, not everybody rises to a high emotional intelligence, but they're a good business person. And sometimes those are the people that rise to the top because their business is so genius that it kind of outweighs that emotional intelligence. Plus, emotional intelligence wasn't a thing like 15 years ago, right? Like when Bill Gates ran Microsoft, it was not emotional intelligence, right? So there's just a lot of human element in that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I would say is like, and I was joking, obviously. I know you know your stuff, but I think what it was just it felt sterile, right? When you have all these people being laid off left and right, and then you like,
Yeah.
hey, it's up to you. The ball's in your court, basically. You don't want to get fired. You better do something about it. It just came off that way. I
Yeah.
think it's something like if it was an internal document that he gave them, it wouldn't have stung as bad as us seeing it. You know what I mean? Us seeing it is like, oh, you say that after you fired all these people and canceled all these projects, and you had the whole like they had a bunch of things going wrong at Ubisoft. So much so that I had a debate with Pete at one point. I don't know if you remember Pete, but I was saying that, and actually too, Aaron from Twitter, and he's friends with people over there in Ubisoft, and I talked with him about that behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And I said, it seems like if Ubisoft doesn't get themselves together, those two brothers or whomever who own the company, they might be selling this off. You know, it felt like Ubisoft was going to go under at a point. That's how bad it was looking for them at a point. Because if you all remember, not only did they cancel 7 games last year, 7. They had the whole NFT nonsense that happened that hurt them. They had the sexual harassment scandals that happened. You remember the guy had to retire and stuff after that? So they had a bunch of things that happened to them where I thought, man, this is not looking good for Ubisoft. So I think on top of that, just us seeing that his words, it made it feel very cold, and that's the thing that we took away from it. And I'm sure you're right, Blue. Like it was the thing where, yeah, he said the right thing. Like, hey, you guys, we got to put that best, effort forward to try to turn the ship around. But I think just in the face of what was happening, it felt like kind of cold. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was more than anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you
Ubisoft
don't
have
put it on
survived a
Twitter.
few takeovers, so they're not, like.
That was the
And
argument.
I think yeah, exactly. And I think the brothers would have sold, before. But you're right. They definitely needed to rewrite the ship. They had made a lot of mistakes. They are surviving on the back of Assassin's Creed for a while now. But look, hopefully they start transitioning, moving away from what they did. I think Phoenix Rising was a great game that should have done better. I'm really looking forward to Splinter Cell. And I think we need a third-party company like Ubisoft around, so hopefully they can right the ship. I don't think Skull and Bones is going to be it, but we'll see what else they've got.
That was that like a Right the Ship, Skull and Bones is a ship game?
I would never do that.
Look, we do got to move on because we're already 40 minutes in and we've only done January. I got to move to February now. And as I was saying before, like I would love to have set it up so I could bring in like February, but I don't have that. Maybe I could do it with the thing of it.
February arrives.
I mean, you got me right here. You could have just had me February. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, that's funny.
You trying to have a deep voice off now? Is that what we're doing? All right. Let's go.
Well, yeah, of course, if we're gonna do deep voices,
Words so easy. Let's do this.
boy.
Anyway, enough of that. Boy. Enough of that. I'm gonna get back to February. So February, massive game dropped. Still haven't finished it. Need to finish it. I'm going to go back and give it another go because I'm waiting for that Baldur's Gate. Actually, what I'll do is I'll jump to the super chats first because there's a few of them. Hargate just dropped a really relevant one. And you guys in the chat, you're absolutely amazing. You're going to have to bear with us this week because it's going to be a long one. We got a lot to talk about. We got Go Mad with a $2 super chat. He says, talk that shit. And we definitely are. There's going to be a lot of PlayStation slander in this podcast because there was just a bad year for PlayStation. Blind Riot with a $20 super chat. He said, why the hell are memberships not turned on? You're missing out, man. Yeah, look, I know. I feel like I need to have something to offer you guys, at least in emotes or merch and stuff like that. And I am going to work on that this year, but I've got a lot on. Newborn. I've actually got to go back to school and study, which is starting next week. So I'm having a big year, but I'll get to it. And last year was a big year because it's playing games, man. Huggy Channy with the $5 super chat. He said another year and Umbra and Peter are still not on video. Confirmed ponybots. That's why they've got PlayStation tattoos like right in the middle of their forehead. He said, Happy New Year, guys. Shout out to Huggy. He is an absolute legend. Love
Happy
the
New
man.
Year, bro.
Good to see you every time we do see you. It's good to see you in person at FanFest, and that's coming up in the year as well. So February, Hogwarts Legacy dropped, and look, this is a good game. I don't think you can... I didn't finish it, and I felt it was very Ubisofty. I liked it. It was big. Maybe it was a bit too big for me to handle at the time. But...
Okay, I'm glad you understood the assignment. I'm just glad I wasn't the only one
I didn't
hearing
say it.
But what I wanted to sort of focus on with this one was the absolute bullshit. And yeah, look, it is going to get a little bit political around this one, because the absolute bullshit, like wokeism that sort of happened around this, that was, you know, because of J.K. Rowling and her history. Won't get too much into that. But then seeing, and this sort of points to the fact that we see bias bleed into reviews, bleed into scores, bleed into, you know, what we call the Xbox tax, and bleed into movies and all sorts of things. This is from a reviewer. She's from Wired magazine. She is a trans woman. And this was one of the quotes from her review that I found. Jana Gray is a writer and reviewer with Wired magazine. After playing the game and documenting, Gray says she's saying goodbye to a fictional world she once adored. This was her comment. She said, there are all sorts of little details that my inner Harry Potter fan was like, that's not right, said Gray. And all that together just really solidified that outside of everything else, it just wasn't a very good game. And from Harry Potter fans, that's not what I heard. And as a Harry Potter fan, I think they absolutely nailed the world. They nailed the feeling. They nailed the gameplay. I don't think that anyone could have done a better Hogwarts Legacy. The combat was for me, I was skeptical on the combat. I think, Pete, you were too. And when it released, it felt visceral enough. It felt good enough to continue playing that game. And I think a lot of the hate that Hogwarts Legacy got and then subsequently got missed from the Game Awards, won BAFTAs, by the way, is just sort of a testament to the fact that we do have bias throughout the industry for different reasons, be it a console, be it you've taken a political view. And I really think that shouldn't be bled into reviews. And it's just disappointing to see. I think we even had at that time, and we talked about it, was that some people who didn't even play the game gave it a 0 on Metacritic. I can't remember what the publication was. And you know, they didn't play the game. We're just giving it a 0 just to bomb it. Like, you shouldn't have professionals being able to bomb a game. And that was extremely disappointing to see. And some of the stuff that came out from IGN was bullshit. I just don't want that in an industry that I like, am interested in, and spend a lot of time in. So that to me was highly disappointing. But the game itself, I think, was really, really good. I will go back and complete that game. Guys, thoughts on Harry Potter?
I highly encourage you to finish it. But go ahead, Pete. You can go ahead.
I will.
I thought it was a great game, and I didn't finish it either. I'm not incredibly in love with the Harry Potter universe, but I do know the movies. I've watched them. I got into them a little bit later, but you could see the passion and love that they had for that universe. I think Hogwarts was beautiful. I thought the combat did a really good job. I don't think it was the easiest combat to have. I think Boba just wrote in the chat that he wanted it to be over, and that's kind of how I felt. I did play the game for, I don't know, almost 40 hours, 45 hours, something like that. And I did feel at the end of it that I was getting a little bit sick of it. I think there was too much filler in between. There are some missions were just fantastic. I wish they focused more on them. And yeah, it was very Ubisofty, where it felt like a lot of it was filler. And I get the people that love that universe, wanted to be in that universe for longer. I think the broom, rides and all that kind of stuff were done really, really well. But yeah, personally, I didn't finish it. The whole J.K. Rowling thing, I just think that whole thing is a joke. I still think that game should have been nominated for the Game of the Year, and political nonsense made it so it wasn't.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and look, referencing one of our past members, Doomy, loved it. And she is a massive Harry Potter fan, loves Harry Potter. And she was like into it, played it, I think, more than once. She played it through once. And then when it released, she played it through again. So, I mean, I don't think it's
She
Harry
bought
Potter
it on multiple platforms too, I believe.
She
bought
did,
it on
yeah.
PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to Blue. Blue. You play this one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did?
Nope. I did not, but I know I'm really 0 for 10 here. I was out of the country for half of February this year, so I kind of missed when it came out. And then the other half was Atomic Heart, and I do very much like Harry Potter. I read all the books, when they came out and all that stuff. But I'm more of I like the original Harry Potter universe. I didn't really get into much to the fantastical beasts stuff and all that extra. I know they're part of the universe, but it's not the main story. Having said that, it was on sale for 50% off here over Christmas, and I did buy it. So it's on my to-do list. The timing was bad. Plus, in March, Resident Evil 4 came out, and I'd already pre-ordered that like months and months before. So it's kind of one of those like, this is a big game, and Atomic Heart came out, and Resident Evil 4 is around the corner. It just didn't make my cut.
Yeah.
It got
I
shuffled
think
around.
Hogwarts is going to be a franchise now. I mean, it was a very
I hope
successful
so.
financial game.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
It just got
Yeah.
shuffled
Next one.
around for you, like kind of like It Takes Two. I get it, Blue. Yeah.
Bro, I played that game. You're the one shuffling around the appointments that this man to play. It takes him, and he's like, "We're gonna play," and I'm like,
I can't believe she.
I never
I can't
get a
believe she
text.
just swore so much. That was crazy.
Yeah, sheesh. Just accountability. Just want to
Wow.
start swearing at me. It's crazy.
This is cussing you out,
I
man.
swear. All I
Trifling,
ask.
right?
This is why we're getting
Trifling.
divorced. This is why we're getting divorced on It Takes Two right here. But no,
Right. Right.
no. But for me, and I agree with you guys. For me, for one, I loved Hi-Fi Rush, right? And that was my early game of the year until I played Hogwarts. Hogwarts took over my mindset completely. I loved that game from start to finish. I thought it was a masterpiece in how they presented what they presented. It's not a masterpiece of a game, but it is so well done. The love that they put into that, as far as the world, as far how lived in it felt, as far as the combat, as far as the traversal, as far as the sense of actual magic and things like that, they captured it 100%. Even the voice acting, solid. Like it's one of those games where you have very few flaws that you can point to and say they did this wrong here. And it's funny because while you don't have actual combat, like where you're hitting someone with a weapon, for instance, you're shooting them, blasting them with a wand, the combat felt more heavy than Forspoken. They had the combat you thought Forspoken would probably have, right? Forspoken had the combat you would think this may have had. So it's actually a reversal. It's kind of funny to me, but they did a really, really good job doing that. As far as the controversy, you all know where I stand on it. I've said it many times. I have a really big issue with, and I know you agree, Risk, because yeah, that's what I call it. Hey, girl, I got a really big issue. I'm sorry. Yeah, girl. Yeah.
This soundboard's really turning out great for us. So glad you got it.
When I unzip, it's just like no, but seriously. Like my thing is about it is this, like the lack of integrity is what bothers us the most. And I think we can all agree. Like I don't think it's fair to bring in your political feelings and how you feel on what Rowling said and push that onto the team that had nothing to do with what she said.
Mhm.
That's the unfair part. You know what I mean? And these guys worked their asses off. Who would have thought such a quality jump from what they previously made with like little mobile games or whatever to this? That's almost unheard of. It to me, it's two games that did something unprecedented, in my opinion, that just felt like this shouldn't have been this good. This is one. The second was Dead Island 2. I know that's coming up as far as next month or so or so. Dead Island 2 is another one where three different developers, almost a dozen years of development or whatever, and it still came out great, like unheard of and almost practically impossible to happen. So this right here, what Hogwarts for me is that they did such a great job. And what I do like and what I do appreciate, even though I know a lot of it was protest buys or whatever, is that it sold really, really well. So like to Pete's point, it's likely going to have a series. So that's good. Despite what people try to tear it down, I think that was unfair, but luckily it performed well. So I'm happy with that. I just think when you look at the integrity of it all, as far as reviews and it being snubbed for every single nomination at the awards show, it just sits wrong with me. You know what I mean? And you can feel how you feel about Rowling, and still see that this is unfair here. I think that those are two different things, and I think people conflate that emotionally, and I think that's unfair.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, absolutely agreed. And just a wider sort of, when you widely cast your net, like then how do you trust, game reviewers to give you and yes, game reviews are objective. And, I hear these guys, I hear Destin talk about how they're supposed to be, subjective, and that's just one person's opinion. But I mean, even on one of Destin's videos recently, you can see how they affect people's view of the game even before they've played the game. So yeah, to me, I think you have a responsibility as a reviewer to be as impartial and objective as you can. Not saying that you can ever be completely objective, but to at least try. And if you
0
can't
they
do that,
gave, and they didn't even play the game, was ridiculous.
absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it was, and it just sort of takes away the faith. Look, there was something else that dropped in February, and we really haven't heard much about it since. It's PSVR 2, except Holly. Holly's got one, plays it all the time, spends a lot of time, attached to her head, walking around the house.
Atomic Heart that came out in February.
Oh, look,
Much
there you
better
go,
traffic
Atomic
than
Heart.
my
I didn't.
PSVR 2 that has not come out of the box since I bought it.
So was Atomic Heart what you thought it was going to be, Hole? Like, I know that was the game that you were really looking forward to. It didn't hit that hard for me. I thought it was just okay, and I probably only played it for a couple of hours.
It was so good. It was so good. I mean, there were some issues with it, but it's AA, right? So you give a little more leeway, just like something I won't say. But it was excellent. Like, I was really looking for that Wolfenstein-y vibe, right? Because it was Russia in another, alternate universe and all that stuff. And the main character is a little goofy. Like his dialogue sometimes is a little like, ugh, but the story was really good. The combat was hard. It was hard. But the world
Yeah.
was beautiful and it was
Oh
fun.
my
It was
God,
a
Holly.
lot of fun. What?
Um,
What's wrong?
What was the
do?
combat like, out of interest?
It was difficult.
I
cannot be set up. I am the female counterpart to your evilness. I get it already.
Look, I think the controls were like for me was the main problem. Like, I stopped playing it because I just didn't want to. I just couldn't manage the controls and I couldn't change them. So
You're good.
Oh. Yeah, no, it wasn't. I played it. I probably put in about a good 10 hours, and I was just like, this is just not for me. It's
really
probably why I left
really
it out of the
puzzles
thing.
too. It was hard.
I think it's an excellent game to be on Game Pass.
It was what?
I don't think the game would have been as successful if it wasn't on Game Pass, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I heard
It was
if that matters. Oh no, don't change it up now. Me and Risk heard you. Don't
Yeah.
don't try to curtail and change it. Yeah,
Chat, record this. Anyway, I have a PSVR 2. It's still in the box.
Oh,
Riskit
you've
likes
never
to
played
remind
it?
me of that quite frequently. I've never even taken it out.
Mhm.
Wow.
I
That just
know.
goes to our point.
Well, like, yeah. Anyway, I think it'd be more fun like with a party or something.
I like how you just gave up. You were like, yeah, well, yeah. You know,
Pretty
it's
much what
funny though,
the
because
There's no games.
it's what
PlayStation
the
has no games.
studios did. They just gave up. They were just like,
pretty much. But it just goes to our point though. We always talk about how, at least I have, VR just isn't to
Harky, if
me.
he's still here,
What is
had
that?
been talking to me about the Quest, and because
The
I really
Quest.
like VR. I think
I'm with you.
Heartbeat is like on point, and he and I talked about it. And I said I do not like Zuckerberg. I've never had a Book of Faces account ever in my life, and
Book of
I never
Faces.
will. And I have no interest in supporting that man in any way. But I didn't have so I couldn't even buy a Quest for the longest time, right? Because you had to have one of those accounts to log in. But like Harky
Oh,
pointed
I
out the
didn't
other
know that.
day, like you don't have to have a Book of Faces account anymore. And I just saw somebody do this video about the Quest 3, and now I have FOMO about the Quest
Yeah.
3.
It looks
But
good.
You know
I just
what's
bought
interesting
this
about that?
PC, so I am paying off
You know
his
what?
PC now.
Well,
So
you know what's interesting about that, Holly, is that my youngest nephew, my sister bought him the MetaQuest 3. So I might use it just for purposes of seeing how it is, because I've never
I
used it. But
saw
yeah,
I saw this video, Umbra, where you can wash your dish. You can do real life, like wash your dishes,
wash
and
your
then
dishes.
have my dishes. There you go, red ditches. Yes. And you could have like a screen on the side of like YouTube playing on the side, but you can actually see what you're doing, but have YouTube on the side and be able to watch that while you're doing
Hmm.
things.
So
I was like,
make
blown
us
away.
that must be for the housewives. That's hey,
No,
wash the
I,
dishes and make me a sandwich.
Right. Cancel him. His ass out of here.
my missus would love that. I'm
Sorry,
sure
that's
she would
off
love that. I'd be walking around the house with a thing on. She's like, "Can you hear me?
the thing
Can
on
you
her
hear me?
head. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me?"
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Oh,
Um,
like I do want to try it out though, but my thing is like for PSVR, I think that's why you haven't heard such positivity around it. I don't think it has. I don't think it's there. Like
There's
my
no
thinking
games.
is,
That's the
yeah,
problem.
there's no games for it,
I
and
think the
I,
tech in it is really good, but they just
yeah.
didn't
mhm.
do enough
The way
for
I
it.
look at it is like I'd have to get plugged into that thing. Like I'm in Ready Player One or some stuff or something. I don't know. Like that's the way I look at it. Like I have to be on some next level 3000 and something stuff to really get into something like that. But I'm just too used to the traditional style of gaming. You know what I mean?
Or if they like had Pornhub as an app.
Yeah.
Would never take it off.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Umbra, where are you? He's like, I gotta put this other earbud in instead of my Quest earbud.
Listen, when they start getting 4D attachments for that thing, maybe I might jump into that. I don't know.
Oh,
Look, we
I'm in
gotta keep
MetaQuest 8, baby.
we gotta keep it moving. One other thing that happened in February was the ESA promised that E3 would come back, and we know how that went. Jumping on to, do I have it? No. Looking for it. March. So I'm still not good with this stupid thing. Did that work? I don't even know if it worked. Anyway, so a couple of interesting things happen here before we jump into the games. The creator of Balan Wonderland, which is an absolutely fantastic game, was jailed for insider trading. He also created Sonic. I don't know if you guys know that game. But
Yuji Naka.
yeah, Yuji Naka was jailed for 2 years, and he was fined $1.2 million for insider trading.
Insane.
Apparently he was he was aware of some of the games that Square Enix were doing with third parties and invested into those. And then obviously when he made money off that, they sort of got onto him. But we'll move on to there's a couple of games. Woe Long. I did not like this game. I thought it was woe too long. I always say that. It's pretty much a standard joke.
I felt the same, honestly.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, but I didn't get into that, man. I tried it and I was just like, nah, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah, I don't know. I just the again, I would say the combat felt like it wasn't visceral enough, right?
Yeah, just I don't know. It didn't catch me like other games that they've made.
Yeah.
People Dark
I mean-
Souls combat in Elden Ring, and I just don't think Wolong was quite as good. I thought Eat and Bullwinkle, I think his name was, and I think when you played it in co-op, it was a lot more fun.
Yeah. Rocky and Bullwinkle was a great cartoon. You actually
Another Game Pass game. Amazing Game Pass game. Although I don't know how you can go past Resident Evil 4 remake. That was March for me. That game was amazing.
Yeah, so that was the other game that dropped in March. Was Resident Evil 4. That game was solid, and this from someone who did not like when the original 4 released, because it was a departure from the slow burn of 1, 2, and 3. 4 for me was obviously it was their first sort of step into more of an action base, but for me that game was absolutely solid. I even went back and played the DLC, which is also solid. Just a quick, I think it's 3-hour experience, but well worth the $14 for the DLC. Yeah, for me that game was solid. And Blue, we finally got one that you played.
Did it? It was actually my game of the year.
Game of the year. Can you do that with the remake? I mean, apparently you can, because it was in the show, right?
Keely says I can, so that's what it is. That was my game of the year.
If Jeff says you can, then I guess.
Really loved it.
Yeah,
It did.
Yeah. Did it get? It wasn't really scary though, right? That's the thing. I think when I played 2, I literally had to stop playing 2 because I discovered 2 in a bargain bin at EB Games, which is like your GameStop. And I was like, what the hell? They made this? I did not even know. For somehow that missed my radar. I don't know how. Found it in the bargain bin. I was playing it at night, and I just had to stop. I couldn't play it at night, and I don't get scared.
Well, you talking about the original, or are you talking about the remaster?
The remake, yeah, the remake.
Oh, remake, should I say?
Oh, it's crazy.
Wow.
It was good.
Crazy.
It was very good.
Yeah,
2 was very good. It was
Yeah,
scary.
2 was amazing, and you're right, Holly. And I like what you said early, Umbra. So every month another game released, which is said, oh my god, this is now my game of the year. And Resident Evil was one of those games to me. I could not put it down. Just an amazing game. I love what Capcom have done with the Resident Evil series. They have really hit it out of the park, proving again that people love single player games, and that franchise. It was better than Dead Space to me. I know we were having that argument, Risk, and I'm not sure. I think you settled on Dead Space being better, but it was definitely Resident Evil for me. Loved every minute of that game. It was fantastic.
It's recency bias. That's all that is.
You had other games too that launched, like you had MLB The Show 2023 that launched and hit Game Pass, as well as they had to pay for it on PlayStation. You also had The Last of Us Part 1 on PC. You had Sifu finally came over to Xbox. I didn't get that until like late last year.
Yeah, right.
What else?
The Last of Us.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 1 had had a really good PC port from memory. Let me just I'll bring this up on screen.
Yeah, one of the best of all time.
I mean, if you wanted a Crudes game with a serious tone, I think it's probably definitely the game to be. It's terrible. It was terrible.
That picture is still in our topics list.
Yeah, I have not taken it out because it's still funny. It's so good.
There it is.
You had Chia from PlayStation that launched on PlayStation. You had the Dark Pictures anthology. That was a VR title right there, Holly. You could have played the anthology for the Dark Pictures. Yeah, VR. She's like,
I don't
no.
think I want to do that in VR.
She has no interest. She's like, yeah, sure. Nope.
Resident Evil 2 drops in Game Pass this month, by the way. So if you guys haven't played that, I highly recommend that game. It was fantastic. So
yeah, sure does. Yeah, that's true. Now, I feel kind of ashamed to say, like, Part 2 used to be my favorite of all time back on, when it first released. The remake, however, I haven't even played.
Oh,
well, let me take that back. I played a few minutes of it. I haven't played it. Yeah, I got
it's so good, bro.
And I got all 3. I got that Part 3. I didn't get 4 yet, but I have Part 2 and 3 remakes. Haven't played either through either of them yet. So
I did not like 3.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
I
like
didn't care
3
for
either.
3, the original, as
Yeah.
much either.
Yeah.
So fits in
Yeah, well-
tone, I guess, because the original wasn't that great to me either. Part 3.
That's I think the three in the original was a little bit longer than 3 remake, but it was the same sort of feel, right? It was like you just had 2 was amazing, and then they made 3, and it was like, oh, because they that's the weird thing about that game. I always found it really weird. They open, so like 2, you come out of the mansion a little bit, and you go into like the base down and all that sort of stuff. And then with 3, you're out in like Raccoon City, right? You're supposed to be, but it was actually a smaller, more linear, I think, experience than and put together worse than 2 was. And the same was true for the remake. Like, it was weird. They could have sort of fixed history with that remake, but they didn't.
Yeah, 3 to me, if you look at nowadays, like how we get games, it felt like DLC compared to anything. That's what it felt like.
I didn't like how Nemesis worked either.
He was annoying. He was annoying, right? And
Yeah.
you had to run
It
around.
was annoying. It wasn't like Mr. X, you know, it was
True.
terrifying. It's just annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I remember
that's
playing the
another
old one.
conversation.
It is, but I remember playing part 2 originally. Oh, look at the Last of Us. They look so handsome and beautiful. But I remember playing part 2 back in the day, and Mr. X Buster Wall. I
Oh,
literally,
yes.
I dropped my controller. I got so scared. I was like,
Beep,
I didn't expect that because it's like pre-baked, walls like Capcom does, their older games. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm just gonna run around the corner. I got my little shotgun off the wall. Doop, doop, doop. Bang! Oh, he busted the wall. I was like, I dropped my controller. And I think he murdered me. I forget what happened, but I just remember being in such a shock that I dropped my controller. It was like hyperventilated breathing or something. It scared the hell out of me.
Wait till you play the remake, because it's the same game, but they reshuffled the whole mansion, so it is the same, but you are not ready for everything that happens. So good.
Oh,
they nailed it. They nailed it.
Man. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to
the
get
garage.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I do like that dude that he gets cut in half at the start. That was brilliant. Look, we got to move through that. Where are we at? We're at March. We got to keep moving. We got to One other thing that happened in March, if you guys, I can't believe that this was March of 2023. This is like not that long ago. Stadia shut down for good. Phil Harrison absolutely nailed that service to the wall. It was a good service, man. It was actually they got some really good tech behind it. And it was a bit of a shame. It was just the way it was launched, I think, was, especially when you're up against Game Pass that had cloud streaming as well. That was never going to last. I think they refunded people's controllers, and that was sort of the death knells. And then April came along. I'm going to start finding my thing earlier.
This one? It's not this one. April.
Whatever. So the ESA cancelled E3 2023. What a fucking surprise. Something else happened in April that you guys should probably. Oh, I forgot to beat myself out. Whatever. The ROG No One Cares was revealed. Think it was a terrible
supremacy.
terrible handheld. Doesn't serve a purpose. Oh, hang on, we're talking about the wrong one. My bad. No, the ROG is really good. And I don't have one. It's not in my sort of thing. I usually travel with my S. So, but Umbra, you've put a lot of time in the ROG. You ended up actually getting one not on launch, but a little bit later, and you've now through quite a few games on it at work, right? Hell of a job.
It sounded like you said you travel with your ass, but you said your S. It just sounded, with your accent.
Well, I never leave my ass behind either. I mean, it's always behind.
I was hoping so. He dragging a wagon back there. That's what he's trying to tell us. Okay, but no, with the ROG, yeah, it's come in handy for me, man. Because the bad part about the time schedule I have is that when I work at night, I'm tired in the morning, so sometimes I don't get a chance to really game like I want. Now, though, I have the power, so I get a chance to play this at work. You know, I hope nobody's at work listening right now and hearing this, but to report me. But
Like
yeah,
He-Man, I have the power.
I have the power. Yeah. So I get a chance to play these games, and it's helped me actually get through a lot of my games.
Sorry. my bad.
Yeah. No, you're good. It helped me get through. It helped me get through a lot of games where I would, have to kind of grind. For instance, I have PS, what is it? The PS, I almost said PS Plus, but PlayStation remote, so I can do remote play and play through Final Fantasy 16, which I've done through that, as well as come home and do it when I need to, right? And because it's kind of grindy to get the last few little trophies. That's all I'm going for. Like, I'm a completionist when it comes to that. So since I enjoyed it enough, I want to get the rest of that. So I've used the ROG Ally to play through that. I played through hundreds, mind you, I have 334 hours in Starfield. At least 100 of that was done on the ROG Ally. I installed it natively, so I played that natively through that and had a ball, playing that there and at home. A bunch of other games too. Sea of Stars, I played through that, and now I've started to add some Steam games now too, to it as well. So it's come in handy, and it's been a bunch of other games I can't remember off the top of my head that I've played through, console streaming or through cloud through it. Oh, like what was that one with the dogs and the cats and all the animals, party animals? I did that a few times and such. Like it's really come in handy. And for me, I think it is an expensive gadget. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you're not used to handhelds like that and you're more of a console or PC gamer, it might not be for you. But it has come in handy where I used to use maybe the Razer Kishi, or you all might know the Backbone, with my phone and play games. This has excelled, beyond that, where I can do console streaming and actually play things natively. So to me, I think it's one of the poor man has been working his butt off, went to sleep on this. Starting to feel like me.
A lot of people got the ROG Ally. You got one as well, Hol, didn't you?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, good. Let's
I
talk about it some
work
more.
on the train.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to do it because Umbra took my time too. So I'm going to just say I have one too. I commute to train. I commute to work on the train. So it's good for that. And at lunch, and Riskit, shut up. And I used it mainly for PC games because I did not have a PC that I could game on. So I bought like Dave the Diver. I also bought more chill games like what the heck is that name? Disco Elysium.
Hatma?
It's definitely
Mahatma Gandhi?
You said Hatma to start off.
I was going to say Hotline Miami, but that's not right. I bought Disco Elysium for it, which is perfect for it because it's just it's like a choice-driven game instead of full action or anything. But it's minus the battery life. It's a really nice machine.
Yeah, the battery life is a concern for sure, especially if you're playing like higher end games or something like that on it. But like that's the dopest part. You can play literally current gen games on it. But if the fortunate thing is that since I was playing it at work, I could just plug it up to an outlet and not have any issue. Get 30 watts.
And it's fine for my commute. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was totally fine for the commute. Back and forth, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Worthwhile.
That's it. Go on. Next. PC hater.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank God.
I got another thing to add. By the way, another part that I love about that. and another thing.
Well, yeah. Well, there was a lot of games that dropped. Actually, one of them playing on the screen in April as well. We've got some big months coming up. EA laid off 6% of its workforce, and the CEO took home $20 million that year. So I don't know. Maybe he probably could have. She shifted around.
That's
he probably could have.
Should be.
Yeah, he probably could have cut. Taken a bit of a cut. And then so Minecraft Legends dropped. That got 71 on Metacritic. Look, again, we talked about that earlier. It wasn't bad. Just wasn't my cup of tea. Everspace, which is playing on screen. It's actually one of my games in the backlog. Brilliant game. This is on Game Pass. Everspace 2. I highly recommend you download this game and have a crack at it. Brilliant. Dead Island 2. A lot of people love that game. You guys love that game. Pete, I know you played it recently. I know it was Colt's Game of the Year, which is absolutely crazy. I don't think it did anything special, and I guess it just sort of goes to show that Colt plays bad games and likes them. Crackdown 3. Sorry, Colt, if you're listening. Pete, yeah, I know that Umbra, you played that as well, I think. I'm pretty sure. We can assume that Holly didn't play it. What were you guys' thoughts?
Damn.
Yeah, look, I got it recently. It was one of those games that was in my back. Like, I wanted to buy it, and I just felt that it was too expensive. I really wanted to play it in co-op. Yeah, it's a co-op game. It's a zombies game. I haven't played much of it. I will say that. I've been busy with other things, and I do want to find someone to play it with. Umbra, I know you said you would, but you're just never around, brother. But
Daddy wasn't there
so
to change my
far,
underwear.
so far, I'm really enjoying it. Love the combat, love the comedy in it. Yeah, just a lot of fun. It's a lot of goofy fun to have in a game.
Umbra?
Yeah, as far as Dead Island 2, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If I had to say for sure, no game outdid it this month. That was the clear winner for April. Ridiculously good game. It's actually upsetting. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't say that without me ignoring Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I was just gonna say, bro.
take that back.
You forgot a game, brother.
I
think
did.
you forgot a game, brother.
Oh, hush my tongue. Hush my wayward, ignorant tongue.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say something, bro.
Yeah. I had to catch myself. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't Star Wars come out that time? Okay, Star Wars outdid it. I'm sorry to say that. But before that, and I still contend that it did something that should have been impossible, where it took dozens of years to actually get developed, 3 different developers, and it still came out great. Dead Island 2 is superb. I'm not joking. If you all get a chance to play that game, please do. It is worth every penny, in my honest opinion. The only thing I have not done is played it multiplayer, which I want to remedy soon. So hopefully we can get on that.
It was recently on sale. I'm not sure if it's still there, but I think it was half price. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth the price.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's the only one, like, I do want to try to get through co-op as far as that, and eventually for Baldur's Gate 3 as well. But yeah, that right there, superb game. To me, it didn't get enough love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think Colt loved it, man. He said it was dumb fun. I think, like, sometimes you want a game that's just dumb fun, right? Doesn't always have to be emotionally draining. And you get to the end of it and you're like, oh. Very much like that with The Last of Us. I was like, just, I mean, I love the game, but I was just fucking depressed, like, for at least a month while I was playing it. It's like, oh, zombies everywhere and it's ruining my life. But another game dropped that month that was absolutely brilliant, but just a poor PC port and poorly optimized for the consoles. It should have been in the Game of the Year conversation, and at the time it was. But it just because of its tech, and this is the thing that sort of bothers me a little bit when we talk about Spider-Man 2, which we will later. That had a ridiculous amount of bugs, and I experienced them a lot. Stopped playing for a bit so that I could, they could get some patches out. And by the time I got to it, we didn't have Spider Box, which was great. But like, if you're going to take points off for one, you've got to take points off for the other. Jedi Survivor was a fantastic game that Hargeet will never play, but should play, because the story was amazing. There was story moments in that, big set piece moments that were fantastic, and still to this day not completely optimized. So missed opportunity, I think, for EA, especially around, if you remember when the first one released, they had made that stupid comment that single player games were dead, and they were sort of pushing that live service. They got the pushback, from that, and their answer was the original Jedi. I can't remember the name of it, but the first Jedi Survivor. This was fantastic. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. That's right. Yeah, and both fantastic games, but just unfortunately unoptimized. Sort of set a tone for the year, though, because there was quite a few titles that were unoptimized. Is that like a kid's juice, Blue? Is that like a little, like, kiddie juice? Did you get it?
No.
Did you get a free toy with that? Or wow! It's a lady juice.
Looks like some moonshine right there.
Yes.
I'm adult too.
I was getting drunk.
I have to admit, the way you said it first, Risk, was way worse. But it looked like some moonshine, a small thing of moonshine, a jar of it. Don't tell me you got some.
It's not.
Oh,
Okay.
But
I've invoked Colt's come into the chat. He's like, I did not see
He
that.
heard you, brother. He heard you.
But Crackdown
He's like,
3
not
was
Dead Island 2. That was number 2.
Crackdown 3 slander. That's what's get him going. What
He's
happened
like,
to the
ears
cloud?
started burning.
What happened to the cloud?
Yeah, his ears must have started burning, and he was like smelling the air. He's like, Riskit's talking shit.
Somebody's not being nice. Wait a minute. What's up, Cole?
Jedi Survivor was amazing. I thought it was amazing. I know not every game is for every person, but it was one of my games of the year, 110%. Blue, we're going to assume that you didn't play it. God damn it.
Yes,
Blue.
The whole show was a setup. I swear.
Blue was only born in the last half of the year.
It was his number 2. Yeah, I really showed up at the last half. Good to see correct out. I didn't like Fallen Order that much, so Survivor didn't really
Slander.
Well,
What the actual
oh, damn.
Yeah.
It
can't
just
say
shows
that.
you got absolutely no taste in games. That's all good.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. That's absolutely okay.
or it's elevated. That's fine.
Moving on to May.
I'm beyond.
but
That's it.
Jedi Survivor, and we had this
Just
reaction.
like the PlayStation.
Oh.
The PlayStation block. I'm beyond.
But just it's
Beyond.
funny because I remember when we were talking about this for Jedi Survivor, and Pete, me and you had the same reaction at a very specific moment in Survivor that felt like, to me, honestly, I don't think it was any other game last year that surpassed that moment. And when we were playing it, we both were like, woo, like shouting during that part. Jedi Survivor.
Were you
has
in the
that
party
moment.
when I went through that? I know somebody
wasn't there for it.
I was just
Yeah.
shouting, bro. So good.
No, I missed it. I missed that moment, but I remember playing it myself, and I was like, what? Like literally could not contain my joy during that section. That's how fun that was and how well done it was. Just a really, really good game. You know, technical flaws aside, of course.
Yeah.
For the record, for everybody in the chat, I do love Star Wars. I just didn't really like that game that much.
Yeah, it was
The Jedi.
Souls combat. It sounds very much like a skill issue to me. Maybe I could just walk you through some.
Says the guy who couldn't get through the first 10 hours of Atomic Heart.
Oh.
Oh.
The gauntlet has
Who
been
needed help
thrown
on
down.
Cocoon that we're going to talk about later.
Oh.
I finished Cocoon before you. All right,
You did not. You definitely didn't.
I just want to point out, beat both of you in beating it.
Moving on to May.
I won't talk about Jedi Survivor then.
No, because you said you hated it. You talked. You said it was amazing.
That's
that
right, we can move on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, look, like just very similar to what Umbra said. I had my most exciting, my drop, my jaw drop moment of the year playing that game. It was. I can still I still get a smile on my face when I think back at that moment. That game was thoroughly amazing. I mean, I get it. My name's JediKnightPeter. Obviously, I love Star Wars, but the passion that flowed through that game, Respawn are amazing. I know it's going to get a third game. I can't wait. The story they're developing of that game, you can see the direction they're going, but I just can't wait to play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely one of my games of the year, especially at the time. Now I got to find the megaphone thing again. Going back to May.
Jedi May Peter.
So May was huge. We had a lot of announcements. I'll run through some of the announcements, and we had quite a few games drop in this, and then a lot happened with the ABK. May was actually a huge month. So the The Sony showcase, can't even say it with a straight face.
Jonies though.
The Sony showcase dropped, and my God, the salt on Twitter was sensational. You had half of the camp were just were like, "Oh, it was good. We loved it. You know, we get to play all these games." Xbox dropped a graphic. It's like play all these games on Xbox. Then you had half of the camp that just couldn't lie and were just like disappointed. Honestly, I think you could separate the more genuine PlayStation fans, ponies, from the ones that are just absolutely full of shit in that. But the ones that came out and said, "Man, this is not it," absolutely perfect. Cole, you're not supposed to play on PC. You're an Xbox guy. So I mean, that was horrific. Bungie tested out factions, and I think that might have been with the initial death knell. And we got the announcement that they've delayed the game almost immediately after. I think it was Tom Henderson who leaked that, who dropped that one out. And then not long after that, Sony then announced layoffs. This was the beginning of the what the hell is going on over there for Sony. And everyone was just like, wow. I mean, I don't think I know Fonz was like messaged me in the background because I was slandering PlayStation for not having any games on Twitter. And Fonz was like, "Man, you want to be careful. That showcase is coming up." And I was like, "Oh, damn." I did love that. Tears of the Kingdom released, and I think everyone thought that was had it sewn up. I didn't play it much. A lot of people, I didn't play it at all. Sorry, a lot of people love that game. Blue, play that game. I just love putting you on the spot.
I did.
Stop.
I have.
Oh my God, she played it.
What?
Let's go.
Wow.
I have the collector's edition, and the metal plate is hanging up on my wall in the next room in my gaming room.
Proof or it didn't happen. No, we believe you.
Yeah, we've got to see your
Not
gamer
ripping it
score.
off my wall.
Gotta hand that out. Like on your cards, on your business card, your gamer score is like at the top.
Nintendo doesn't do that.
A couple other things happened.
Makes me think of American Psycho. You hand off the cards, like, here's my credentials.
Let's
show you
talk
my
about
SD card.
let's talk about the positives. So there wasn't many positives. There was actually, so the positives were Tears of the Kingdom. I think everyone thought they had it sewn up. There wasn't many positives. There's a couple of negatives for Xbox as well in that month. And Redfall dropped in that month.
We had you know what? Besides focusing on the negative of Redfall, indeed, it deserves that trumpet. But what I would say though, Xbox still had a solid month because we had Planet of Lana, which I loved. That dropped. What else did we had? We had what was another one? We had Marvel's Midnight Suns. Now that wasn't purely Xbox, of course, but Marvel's Midnight Suns came out during that. The Fuga Melodies of Steel actually came to Xbox Game Pass as well. So they had some solid ones. Ravenlock was decent. That came to Game Pass. And yeah, you had Age of Wonders 4.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
So
it wasn't a terrible year for Xbox all the way through. Like it actually had some pretty decent Game Pass games. But I think we're allowed to count those now. We're allowed to count third party now. I think that narrative is completely different now. So third parties,
according to our Who brothers.
Yeah, that's totally
according
different.
to our Who brothers, they matter now.
Yeah, so like all the Xbox Game Pass games, they matter. So they were having a win. I just cannot believe that.
Company of Heroes came out that month. I think Monad really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, he did. He did. It wasn't for me. I'm a very discerning TTR sort of player. But something else huge, and I know I'm going to be honest now because I wasn't as honest at the time. I was honest. I tried to keep the sentiment out. The CMA blocked the ABK deal, citing that it was had concerns with their cloud side of the business. I got to say, my heart dropped when that one happened. I was pretty devo. And I was a little bit concerned that they weren't going to get through, obviously, until later in the year when I started hearing the case that the CMA and the FTC were bringing.
It was
a huge Monday.
It was
like a couple days before we'd been hearing that a lot of stuff had been cleared up, and they were pretty confident that it was gonna go through, and then
Mhm.
boom.
And they just gave
Yeah.
us a nice little shot to the stomach right there. I remember like the reaction on Twitter. That's the part that made me annoyed. Like, it's not even that because I knew the deal was going to eventually go through. But at that moment, it was so much doom and gloom, and our Hoove brothers were on it, boy. And I was like, ugh. That's the part that annoyed me because I knew we had to deal with them and them dooming and glooming the whole situation. So it's
Yeah.
funny that it ended the way it did. But I remember that point just being annoyed, like, now I have to see this on my timeline every 2 seconds. Oh,
Well, I mean,
spots.
Extends
were
an
always
already 2-year long
yeah
nightmare, right?
we
Yeah.
were already
There
being
was
hit with
so much.
Redfall as well. Like
Yeah, there was
Redfall was
so much negativity at that time.
yeah,
Yep.
it was
And Redfall led the pack. It sure did.
yeah, got toxic. And then
Yeah.
Phil, I mean, even this is the other thing as well that I'll say about that whole Redfall thing. We've covered Redfall like ridiculously, so we won't stick on it too much. But the way that Phil handled that he was an absolute champ. Like he came out,
100% agreed. Yeah.
he took his licks. And I think a lot of that, this is the other thing that was going on there, especially when because I think the CMA came after that. They were slamming Phil, and it was the narrative of Xbox is in third place. Like that had changed somehow. And Phil said it, so now it matters. If Phil says anything else, it's positive for Xbox. No, you can't trust Phil. He's selling snake oil. As soon as he said third place, he just every pony on the planet was on Twitter. Like, Xbox is in third place. You still hear it from it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Instead of taking
So true.
instead of taking the the positive out of it, which was that Phil came out and said, "Yep, we had a terrible year in 2022. We are in third place. We lost the worst generation to lose." And games and things coming out like this is not good enough, and then explaining how that happened, and obviously learning from the mistake. Like that is a good thing. You've never said Ryan just quits. He's like, you know what? I've sort of turned PlayStation into a completely shit state. So you either quit or you got the sack. Like, yeah,
it's something because Boba just posted in the chat that holding until 60 frames per second would have helped, but not much. I kind of agree, not enough rather, but I kind of agree with that. But man, it would have been so much better to have landed with the 60 and more polish being put on the game than what it launched as. Like it really did not set a positive tone. And then when you talk about what Phil did, he talked about internally, they came to what did he say, a high 70s, high 80s internally. I was like, how did you come to that?
That's
Like, who reviewed that? So I don't know. It kind of weirded me out, and we just saw, a new tweet posted by Idle Sloth that I believe our lovely ThatBlueNumber shared, where we're talking about Hellblade 2, and it's like internally that's a low 90s. I think they said for that, just to throw it out there randomly. But that seems more reasonable. I don't know how they came to that before Redfall once we played it, because it's like, how did you? Like immediately you see the quality is not quite there. You don't have to get 2 hours in to see that. So I don't know how internally they came to that conclusion, honestly.
Oh,
it was just very confusing.
I guess the question was, what were they playing on? I mean, I know Colt copped a lot of shit for his demoing of Redfall, but also again, when I first booted the game up, I played it live on stream for Game on Cancer. Shout out to Shane Bailey, is an absolute legend, and they do some great work. And look, I was hoping to be more a little bit more professional. I couldn't stop laughing at the game. It was that bad. It was that bad that I was in stitches. Like it was hilarious. The video's still up. Like I just couldn't believe how bad this game was.
Yeah.
And then I mean, how that all went down and how it happened, I do not know. And then we're hearing that Hellblade's testing internally and getting 90s. So what do you think that game's going to get a 70 when it lands? I mean, who were their internal testers? I would have sacked that whole team like immediately. It would have been like 70. Like, why are you lying to us? Like, tell us ridiculous. Like that was so we got to move on to the next thing. Pete, did you want to say anything about Redfall?
No, I did enjoy it. It's a co-op game. I don't know what you're going to say, Risk, but I had a game with KJ, with J-Rock, with Doomy, with Colt, and I still enjoyed it. It definitely got better when I played it with Monad and Holly later on, but at the time, I
It
quite
was
enjoyed the
fun
game.
then.
Yeah.
It's fun then. It's a
I-
good co-op game. I don't think I would have enjoyed it alone.
I don't have
agree.
a boo.
agree 100% with that. Yeah.
I've just realized I don't have a boo. I've got like the applause thing on the soundboard. I'm gonna have to get a boo.
What a shame. That's a real bummer there. I'm so sorry to hear it.
feel like I was left off on the whole, when you
I
played
feel
with
like
people thing.
See my intro. He would just boo.
I
every
also
time.
played it with you, Umbra. I had a great time, brother.
Oh, now I feel so included. Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Anyway, I do agree with you guys though, Blue and Pete. Like playing it as a squad with friends, it is actually fun. Playing by yourself though, sorry, unbearable. Can't do it.
Yeah. I don't like to play with myself, and if I do it in private. Moving on to the to the next
I like to play with myself, and I do it publicly. Thank you. But by the way, we never did really go into Blue as far as Zelda, though. Like we know that she has some collections of it and things like that. But was that your game that didn't come across as your game of the year for you?
No. I enjoyed Zelda, and I didn't finish it. It's a huge game.
Yeah.
But
Was it?
I mean, I really do.
Was it too big or?
Stop it. I don't stop it.
I can see him looking for the button.
I enjoyed Zelda, but
all right. Well, look,
just didn't finish it.
it was. I think when everyone was talking, it was game of the year and it had it sewn up. I think even Hargeet might have mentioned that. I don't know. I don't put words in his mouth. He may not have said that. But I do remember
at the point. I believe he did think that.
Yeah, I think he thought they had it sewn up. We're gonna move on to the next month, which is June. Jesus, we're only halfway through the year. God help us. And some big stuff, some big, massive, huge
things
happened in June. So we'll just talk about the games real quickly. So Street Fighter 6 dropped to a 92 Metacritic. That game was, I'm not a fighting fan, but I actually really enjoyed it. I played the demo. I wouldn't buy a fighting game. It's not up my alley. So I think everyone's pretty much the same on the panel. You guys are not really massive fighting fans?
Yeah,
big fighting fan. Yeah, I am.
You are?
I grew up on Street Fighter. Oh yeah. I haven't played them like I used to though. I've kind of fallen off, but I used to love them. Me and my uncle, we used to play Street Fighter 2 to the point where he would get pissed if he lost against me. I had Ryu, he had Ken, and he would literally throw his controller, Super Nintendo controller, and crack the damn thing in half. And he was so skilled, he repaired it, and we would play again. But
that's really good to hear, actually, that you played with your uncle. Because I played different games with my uncle, and that's why I'm like I am.
Was his name Bob? Bob was your uncle? No, I'm sorry.
I played Street Fighter with my brother at the arcades, and it was different. I was Ken and he was Ryu, but look, it does hold a special place in my heart. But I don't know. I'm not very good at fighting games anymore. I did love Killer Instinct when I was growing up on my SNES, but yeah, not a fighting fan anymore.
It's a Tekken person. Nobody was a Tekken.
I love Tekken. I love
Tekken.
Yes.
Bayek was my.
I love Tekken. The others,
getting 8.
I mean, Mortal Kombat
drops?
was good. That was like my second.
Yeah.
I would like to, but I only want to get it if there's other people to play with.
I'll play. I'll fight you. I'll beat you up in there. Yeah.
I don't know. I saw you kill me in Party Animals way too many times. I'm a little scarred.
Pete targeted you much more than I did. I tried to help out.
No way.
You're evil in those games. Like the Sith in him is strong.
Exactly.
Don't get it twisted.
I felt bad for you after I saw him target you. So I'm like, this is just abusive.
And his evil laugh that comes out is just
Exactly.
you're just shocked. Like, what?
Exactly. I'm like, this is animal cruelty right here. What's going on, man?
I love funny animals. This is a lot of fun. Those cute little animals can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Very cool game.
Fun.
Very fun
Especially
party
when
game.
Pete's controlling them. Yeah.
But this month actually was crazy, actually, when you really look at it, because not only did we have Street Fighter 6 that launched excellently, you had Diablo 4, you had
The game.
Final Fantasy 16. You had some good games that launched. Like, it's
Don't-
crazy when you really
don't-
look at that year.
You can't put Final Fantasy 16 into that good game category. Well,
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'll be
Diablo
honest.
was
It was
my
decent.
second or
Mm.
third most played game of the year. Amazing game. Umbra, we both played Rogues. We played them differently, but we had a lot of fun playing that game together. We put a lot of hours into that game together.
Ton of fun, man. And that's another. That's another one I played through the rock, by the way. Sometimes, so that right there was actually really, really dope. I have to get back to Diablo 4, but you're right. We played as different styles of rogues, but man, we played a ton of hours in that. That's probably, if we really looked at it outside of Halo, it's probably the game we played the most multiplayer in together.
Mhm.
Honestly, so loved it. It was actually
Yeah,
my second
me
most
too, brother.
played game of the year. Yep.
Yeah, I
Loved
think
it.
it was my third.
did you?
But yeah, no, it was close to my game of the year as well. Like, I was surprised how much I liked it. It got a lot of hate, I remember, when it first came out. But I think they did
Diablo?
a great job. Yeah,
No, I don't-
narratively, I think.
No, it didn't get much hate
Yeah,
when it came out.
Yeah,
It was
did.
it was no, it was the
Yeah,
update. The update that gave it the hate, because when it initially
It was
dropped, everyone was
definitely
loving
the
it.
update.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
update, when they updated it and changed everyone's builds, like that pissed off the community in a huge way. That's sort of at the
Yeah,
point
it,
at which
it
I stopped
definitely did
playing.
with me, but I remember there being a little bit of pushback on the narrative, and I think that they did a great job. I think Lilith is an amazing character. She steals the entire game. Just fantastic. I got so many screenshots of that game. It was beautifully told, really dark, my type of game.
Yeah,
It was good. I mean, also the cutscenes top notch. Got to give them credit there.
always.
Top
They
notch
always are.
cutscenes.
Yeah, Blizzard do
Yeah.
great cutscenes. Like, even going back to
They do.
when you go back to the original Warcraft, like the tactical Warcraft, the original 1 and 2, even those cutscenes were like, hell yeah, that sort of pushed you through the game. They're masters of doing great cutscenes.
It's funny
Yeah,
because you look at
I was
WoW and then
doing-
you look at the cutscenes. It's like night and day. Like, damn, couldn't the game
Yeah.
look a little prettier?
Yeah,
I was
agreed.
doing level 60 nightmare dungeons before that patch, and that patch killed the game for me. I think after that I could only do level 52-ish nightmare dungeons, so it really nerfed the shit out of my character. I think they reversed that decision, but I haven't gone back to it since.
Yeah,
And
I
it
think
just shows you what a bad patch can do for a game, especially in a year as stacked as last year was.
So
Yeah.
true.
Pete actually spent most of that game in his menus, so I don't feel he really played the action. Blue, did you look? There's something else that's massive that we need to get to and that happened this month. But Blue, did you play Diablo?
Yes. Yes, I did. So don't hit any
I
dumb
was gonna
button that
say,
you
are you
had.
sure?
Right.
I was like, you say you done sure at first. I'm like, wait a minute.
I finished a campaign. I was a rogue as well. I switched builds pretty far in to a twisting blades, and it is crazy how the build differences can just change your character's power immediately. Like, I looked up I saw Polygon had like a walkthrough up, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it and see what theirs is. Dude, like, all these dungeons that I was going through, it was just like one-shotting everything compared to what the build I had was. So that was kind of depressing.
Yeah, you're right, Holly.
but I
that
gotta
was so
say, like,
so good about the rogue. You could mix up your build.
yeah. I was very bored of Diablo by the time I got to the end of the campaign, and I had no desire to go back for the seasons, which is a shame because I thought, okay, this is going to be my, like, casual recurring game where I'll go back, do a new season, put it away, all that stuff, and I just have no interest. I don't know.
You played in co-op, Hol? Because I found it a lot better in co-op.
No, I didn't. I played it all alone. But in June, the stars aligned and Riskit took a 20-hour flight and I met him in person for the first time ever and saw his reaction to Kool-Aid within like 10 minutes of meeting him. And that was fun.
Yeah. Look, I remember walking outside, like getting to the I mean, I was going to LA. I was like, I went through Compton. That was cool. I mean, it was cool because like
I forgot you a Crip now. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Australian Crip. Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's throw up a C. Throw up a C.
I don't know how you do it, but
what side is that handkerchief on?
But like I was super nervous, man, because it actually takes a lot for me to get nervous about anything because I'm usually pretty good with stuff like that. But like I was super nervous walking down I was meeting Holly. I didn't even know I was going to meet Holly, but I knew Colt was there, and Colt's wife, and was Cog was there too? Was Cog there?
No, it was me, Colt, and his wife. I flew in, met them as I dropped my luggage off and we met up and then went to lunch and they were texting you like, hey, do you want to come to lunch? And I think you'd been out the day before or something like that. And plus jet lag and all that, right? Like, so you came and met us at the restaurant with, who else was
Was
at
it
lunch
Ben?
that day? There was somebody else
Kenobi?
there. No. Doggone it. Who was there?
It was someone, but I was
Dante
like,
there?
yes.
Anyway,
No, Dante came later.
So you sat
Yeah.
down next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you sat down next to me. You're like, hi, I'm Riskit. And I was like, hey. You were asking about Kool-Aid. And we're like, no, you got to try Kool-Aid. You don't know what Kool-Aid, like, you knew what Kool-Aid was, but you'd never tried it, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
do I get the red or the purple? We're like, do you like cherry or do you like grape, right?
It's
So I
funny
think you
that
got
he
the
called it
red.
purple because that's how black folks typically, we don't say grape. Hey, you got some purple?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny, actually, to me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Well,
you're already a Crip. You might as well come on to the black side, Risk. Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's a funny.
Well, he got the red.
Yeah, I ended up getting the red,
Go
but I
ahead.
didn't ask for the red. I actually asked for the purple. And that's a funny thing is because there's a drink over here called Maxia, and it's sort of like Gatorade, right? And there's all different flavors, but I don't call them by the flavors because you never, like, they call it some weird shit like wild berry fruitalon or something. And you're like, what it's just red, man. So like, I'll get red or purple. That's what I call them. Because it's too much to be saying the name. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, so that to me, because Xbox hadn't sort of proved itself to me, because I know I'm a skeptic. Like, I'm a skeptic about most things, and I'll be really skeptical until, like, even any idea, if it's a political idea, if it's any, I sort of come from the side of skeptical, and so especially if I have
Hargeet, Cog, Addict, Ben, Ains, and Dante.
And
Sorry, but
Dante.
they weren't at that lunch. Yeah.
they weren't at the
Ains
yeah.
was at the lunch. That's right. Ains
Ains
at
was
the
there.
lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, Ains is
Anyway,
great. We've
So
had some.
Ains gets the red. So Riskit gets the red Kool-Aid, and we're all watching him. And he takes it, and he takes a drink. He's like, throws it down on the table. He's like, oh my God, like the sugar.
He started
The
tweaking.
sugar.
Oh,
And I
Jake
was
over
like, well,
there.
that's actually, they make good Kool-Aid then, because where I'm from, we didn't get Kool-Aid because that stuff's watered down so much because they wanted to like max it out over all these kids and all that stuff, right? Like, I don't know, Umbra, like if that's your experience, but it was like watered down, right?
No,
This
that's
restaurant
not
made
my
it real.
experience. No,
Oh,
black
you had
folks
all the
make
sugar.
Kool-Aid very differently. Yeah. You'd had some black folks Kool-Aid, Risk. You'd probably flew over to Australia
That
by
was-
hand.
No, but it was at a like a soul restaurant. So like I
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
It was sugary. It was sugary. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it was
okay.
the real Kool-Aid experience. Like I experienced it.
The real Kool-Aid experience.
I was like, holy shit, I will never drink that again.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if you've ever seen Americans eat Vegemite, and they're like, "Ugh," that is like like pretty much how I felt. It was but
Wait,
getting
is Vegemite disgusting to like Americans? Like typically?
you guys can't eat it. It's
Yeah,
weird.
It is.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because
Ah.
you put it on way too thick. You
Yeah.
put it on like peanut butter, and it's meant to you meant to put a very small amount on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
I've
a
never
thin
had
spread.
Vegemite
Both of
before.
you eat Vegemite?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. I love
Pete, do you
Vegemite.
eat Vegemite?
I love
never had
Vegemite
it.
for on toast. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Little bit
good.
of
You've had
butter,
it
little bit
before?
of Vegemite.
You
Beautiful.
had it before, Holly? How was it to you?
It is the most god awful thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. I mean,
When you
it
covered your
tastes-
face, I had a feeling.
it tastes like concentrated fish paste that has a whole pound of salt
Ugh.
in every ounce. Like,
Yeah, that sounds
it is
nasty.
salty
So good.
as
Oh,
Yeah,
that
you
sounds
gotta
disgusting.
spread it really lightly on your toast, and you have to have it with some butter or some margarine to break it up. And that's the mistake most people make.
No, it's never
Butter.
eat it with margarine. Margarine's that. Butter, avocado, a little bit of salt and pepper. Beautiful.
But
More
she said-
salt?
She said it's already
do that.
salty.
Yeah, I wouldn't put more salt on it personally, but it's really nice with avocado to break through.
I'm
Oh,
not
that
salty
sounds
enough.
disgusting,
A
though.
little
So it has a fishy taste to it, right?
No, it
No.
doesn't have a fishy taste at all. It's yeast extract.
like
So I don't know what your equivalent
yeast.
is in
Yeah.
in the States, but it's
We only
similar
have
to
tasty
Marmite.
food here, sir.
Definitely
only-
don't ask where
We're
the
in
yeast
Chicago.
came
This
from,
is a
right?
food city, okay?
Right. I'm sorry. We got top-notch food here. I can't speak for everybody else, but
I mean, you
That's
guys don't
Melbourne
put
may not wanna try it.
Melbourne's known as a very foodie city as well.
Yeah,
Is
you
it?
don't
Okay.
really put ketchup on your hot dog. So I mean, that's whatever Chicagoans
Yes,
think of
against the
food
law.
is just immediately cancelled out. Like everything.
If you putting hot ketchup on
Anyway,
your
so
hot
we
dog,
were in LA and Kool-Aid was the thing
there you
that
go.
was that set it all off. And then Riskit bear hugged Skill up when I left.
He assaulted him.
And he bailed on me for going to Universal, which actually
I did.
wound up just fine. I found this man in the lobby and I said, "We're going tomorrow, right?" Like 3 times. I was like the nagging wife, like, "We're going tomorrow, right?" Yeah. I got this. I said, "You're drinking." "Oh no, I'm fine. Like I could do this.
Oh, I
We're
drank.
good. I will see you at 7 a.m." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I wake up at 6 to get ready, and I look at my phone, and there's a text from him at like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. "Yeah, mate, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it tomorrow."
Yeah, I
I
was
spoke to Riskit that night at 3 a.m. Yeah, he wasn't going anywhere.
stumbling. I was like drunk.
It's actually fine because it was sold out anyway. So the favors worked out. But this year, there's no excuse.
I knew that, right? I knew it was sold out. But look, the other thing that happened at FanFest was obviously games. And
that thing.
like there was points at which me and Colt were like nearly hugging each other. Like we were like, yes. And there was a couple of times where we leapt out of our seats.
Yes.
Like that was like one of the craziest showcases I think I've ever seen from any publisher, and that it was just solid. When Fable came out, and I was like, "Holy shit!" They showed Star Wars Outlaws, which is coming this year. They showed so much that was just like, and then they obviously had the 45-minute direct where I was not interested, and I told Todd this to his face. I was like, when I saw Starfield the first time, wasn't interested. Never been a big Bethesda fan, and I'm like, he's just giving me the, who is this guy and why is he slagging me off to my face? But I finished it up with, after that direct, man, I'm 110% in. Like that game looked amazing. So for me, that was
Xbox dropped the hammer at that FanFest.
Oh yeah. Oh
was
yeah,
really good.
especially after the PlayStation the showcase that happened. It was just absolutely nailed him to the wall.
They did everything they needed to do, plus more. That 45-minute Starfield Direct, I remember the next day, even I got on Twitter. There was nothing the ponies could say after that. You know, it put all our worries aside. That 45 minutes of Starfield gameplay was something else. and it just kept going. I remember I was watching it live in a watch party, and every 5 minutes they showed something new and fresh, and it was like 10 games in one, and it was a perfect way to cap off what was a brilliant fan fest.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely
And
was.
Riskit, I was just like you. At Starfield, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I was just like, it's Bethesda. I know I'll enjoy it, but nothing has really like gripped me until we were sitting there and watched that, and everything that they like, every next thing was just like, oh my gosh, now I need to play this. It like they spliced that thing together in a way that just sold the game. Absolutely sold it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wish I would have gone with my first mind and went that year,
You should
last
have.
year, but I should have. But it is what it is. But I will say, much like Pete, when we were watching it, because I think we were in a watch party for that, right, Pete? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we were, bro. Yeah.
And it was just like one hit after another, exclusive, world premiere, and I mean, we had a good time. I'll tell you that. Like, it was the very polar opposite of that versus actual like PlayStation's like direct. It was like, okay, what is this? Ugh. But Xbox, it was like, oh, is that Fable? That's Fable. Like, the excitement, the pure joy we experienced it. I can only imagine how good it was for you all there in person. I can only imagine. I definitely feel a way that I didn't go, but it was damn good. Honestly,
Well,
one of the
remember
better
that next
shows.
time you're invited to go.
Yes,
that
I will
feeling.
remember. Yes, I'll hold on to it deeply. Yeah, I definitely will try to go next time for sure.
You picked the perfect year to go, Risk. I mean, honestly, out of like after the disappointment of E3 gone, you being there in person must have been something really special.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's what happened for me. We didn't mention it before when we said that E3 was cancelled. That's what happened. I was booked, ready to go to E3, and I was hoping, because I knew it was coming to its end, E3, and I was hoping that I would make it to the last one, and I obviously just didn't make it. And unfortunately, fortunately enough, I reached out to Aaron Greenberg, absolutely fantastic guy, and he hooked me up because I didn't win the ticket, and you can't. I don't think you can actually win a ticket to FanFest in other countries. I think you can only win one to your country. I think, I'm not too sure. But Aaron helped me out. I'll drop down to the super chats real quick because there's one real relevant one. Udani Quasada with a $5 super chat. He says, "From what this is so good." So good. I love you, Donnie. He's like, from what I'm hearing is when it comes to early year blockbuster games, Holly is like 0 for 7, like Spider-Man 2 at the Game Awards. That is gold. Absolute gold. I love that. And Holly loves it too. You can tell because she's smiling. It's like planning your demise. She's got that look in her eye. Huggy Chatty with the $5 super chat. He says, Riskit, tell the truth. You were paid by Aaron at breakfast. You're a paid shill. And then you got called out at FanFest by Aaron. Paid shill. Yeah, there was a lot of discourse online saying that we're all paid. There was King Trash did a video about us, all getting together at the table, and he's like, this is what you're gonna do, and he was there's a coffee here and there's a coffee there, and I'm like, what is this dude on about? There was an extra plate. It's like, that's where someone fucking wasn't sitting, you muppet. That's why there's an extra plate. Anyway, that's pardon my language, trying to block those out. Didn't work. Look, I loved it, man. Got to meet Aaron, got a chance to speak to Phil, got a chance to speak to Todd, got a chance to see all these crazy games, get my hands on Cyberpunk, which I didn't do because that game's trash. But I guess the highlight, got a chance to sit down with Jason Ronald, and me and Hargeek grilled the man. We grilled him, give us information. He wouldn't do it, but we grilled him anyway. But the best part of it was I got a chance to hang out with the community. Got a chance to meet Holly, got a chance to meet Dante, got a chance to meet Colt's wife, Hagit, absolutely everyone that was Cog, Addict, like all the guys. It was just so good to get in and like meet all these people that we've interacted with over the course of many years and like get a chance to sit down and have conversations with them. Bear hugged the shit out of Skill Up, almost
Sarah
killed him.
Bond.
It was great. Sarah
I think you met
Bond.
Sarah Bond as well. Yeah.
She's like, you're my
And she
my friend
knew
online.
you.
Yeah,
That
she
is
knew who I
so
was.
amazing. Like that just shows you how genuine she is and how she actually, like she does her Twitter herself, knows who
Yeah.
she's interacting with. And I think that proved to me, because I was a little bit skeptical on Sarah, but when you told me that, man, that like elevated her greatly in my eyes.
I can tell you one thing about Sarah. She gives great hugs. Like great hugs.
I'm telling the missus. I'm telling the missus right now.
One
salty,
other thing.
though. Did she smell like cocoa butter? Because I bet she did, because she's, black women love cocoa butter. Anyway, though, seriously, though, I wish I would have been there for that. Sarah is dope.
She smelled amazing.
And I knew it. I knew it. Yes, Holly, we're being creeps right now. I'm sorry. Yes, sprinkles. No, seriously, I would have loved to have met, Phil, Sarah, Aaron, things like that. So that's part of why I feel salty like that. And I mean, all of you guys too, Risk as well, But I mean, I can meet Holly anytime, but she's avoiding me because she doesn't want to play Takes Two. But yeah, so like, just
To live in the same city.
What was Holly? What are you saying to that? Go on, talk to me. Tell him. Tell the man. He's here.
Umbra.
I can't believe she's. I can't.
Swear. Hey,
she's speaking to you like that. That's crazy.
Nobody this little game.
Dang.
Wow.
Such abuse. I didn't
Kiss your
expect
mother with
this
that
much
mouth.
abuse. I think Holly's had enough of us.
Show your support.
Look, something else happened that month as well, and we got to move on to the other months because we're still halfway through the year. But the FTC jumped on the ABK case, and this is when it really started to heat up. But at that point, I don't know if you guys remember, no one really cared. Like we did care, and it was a little bit out there. The guys who were like really covering it covered it, but. Like for me, I was like, I don't care, man. Xbox is fine. Have a look at what they got. If we lose this, who cares? They'll get something else. They've got plenty of games coming. So for me, I wasn't super worried about it. I won't go to the panel because I'm going to move quickly to the next thing. Something else happened is Embracer's deal fell through on this month, and they started really laying off people. They started shuttering studios, and up until this point, I was a great supporter of Embracer and the reasons why I was a supporter of their acquisitions is it seemed like they had gobbled up a couple of the developers and publishers that were struggling, and they had gobbled up Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. Big fan of those studios, and I knew that they would remain third party from that point, which is why I was happy for them. But when this started to happen, obviously when things got a little bit, started to really go downhill for the year when it came to layoffs. And we have something at the very end about the layoffs that I wanted to say, but we're not there yet. Blue's laughing at the turkey. Yeah, with the turkey with the cheese. That was way too much, man.
Assassin.
That was.
Yeah, that was. That's what I said. I came to say hi, and the first thing I hear is Holly abusing the swear button. My name has been sullied by Riskit soundboard.
I can't believe she's just speaking to people. It's crazy. Like we get some self-control.
So abusive. Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the next one, which is July. Exo
that sounded
Primal.
Anti-Semitic. I don't know. Something about the way you said it sounded anti-Semitic or something. I don't know.
Really? Oh, that's
yeah,
nice. Kids at the start. Yeah, right. Yeah. You got me.
Yeah. You see, he embraced his Crip side, and now he's halfway black because he had Kool-Aid. Are you related to Kanye, perchance?
Pull the Kanye face.
Yeah, right. You got to laugh and then stop immediately.
I gotta do the next podcast with the sock over my head, right? Like his
Yeah.
wife walking around with the sock over.
What the hell is wrong with that dude doing it? Why
Yeah.
does you know what?
He's
I don't even.
got bipolar. He's bipolar.
Is that what does that make you do that though?
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
outside of that.
Yeah,
Does
it's
it?
an extreme. It's a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Dang.
He's a bipolar bear, that's for sure.
Bipolar bear.
Yeah, whoever's looking after him needs to get him that F off
All right,
Twitter when he's
back on
having one of his
target.
manic issues.
Yeah.
Look,
Well, yes.
I love-
What were we
I
going-
love- I love
Where
his ridiculousness. The stuff he comes out with. You can't take anything the man says seriously. He's out of control.
Yeah. He's out of control for sure.
Way out of control
But
with
yes,
some of
getting
this
back
stuff.
to July, as you put it.
July.
Yeah.
Exo Primal.
what.
Exo Primal dropped on Game Pass. Look, wasn't great. Was all right for a bash. Wasn't a good thing. Remnant 2, though, was fantastic. We played a shitload of that, Pete. Love that game. I got to the
Play
end,
that.
but I haven't finished it. Happy Bomb's in there, like, let her talk.
Oh, Happy Bomb
Yes.
should know better by now.
As soon as she starts cursing immediately. Sheesh.
So good. Right, so Remnant 2. For me, that was
Played Remnant 2.
Yeah, that was
she
one
played
of the
Remnant 2.
games that. Yeah, that was one of the games that I was really excited for because I loved the first one, but they elevated the first one in every single way. Played a lot of it with Bushy and Mac and KY Bobby and Holly and Umbra and even a little bit with you, Risk. Just an amazing game. Yeah, a lot of fun.
We played a lot together.
The DLC. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I love Remnant 2. It was a sleeper hit for the year. I don't think people were expecting to be as good as it was. I personally thought it was going to be and had a great time in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. See how he diminished our playtime, Umbra? He does that. He's like, nah, you guys aren't really playing like that.
Yeah, I had
He
my
just-
own game with you, bro,
And
but
shout
we
out
got
to
to
whoever.
the Red Prince and then never got any further.
We got to the end.
Oh,
We eventually got to the end. Yeah.
What are you saying?
And Pete, shout out to, was it
Black 12.
Bushy's
his name
friend
was.
that got us
Yeah,
through that final boss?
The
Yeah.
Black 12. Yeah. I don't know what build he had, but that was
Broken
amazing.
build, I'll take it.
Hell yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I played most of it myself, so, skill issues and stuff. Need people help you out. It's all good.
Right, we're trying to set up Bobby to go pick up the thing in the store so he gets swallowed by that monster. And it just wouldn't happen for us. Me and Boba were trying to coax him into going to go get it. And every time we go pick it up, nothing happened. Oh, man, it was so funny. It was a really fun game to play co-op.
It's a bloody spider on me. God damn it. Get out of here, you stupid thing. Anyway,
That thing probably as big as your room and it almost dragged you away, didn't it?
I'll be
Yeah.
You
I'll be
all have those
be
crazy
dead.
Lord of the
spiders
Rings
out there.
spider.
I'll be dead by the end of the show. Anyway, that was a great show. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
You can see the spider wrapping them up in the damn web cocoon and dragging them off.
Somebody call 119. I assume 911 is backwards
Yeah.
in Australia like the toilet.
Someone
Is it
please
119?
call
Like,
119.
It's actually 000. We don't have the capacity to remember like two different numbers. 3 times.
911 actually works. It's so weird.
It does.
Yo, it works
does.
out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's because like,
They're like,
a
oh,
lot of
emergency, how can I help you?
kids
Is that how they
are
answer
stupid. It
it? I
actually
don't know.
takes you through to the New York police. Say, how you doing? Get out of here.
Hey, what's going on over here? What do you need there?
Damn
Oh.
Australians.
Yeah, quit calling us.
Hardgeek
We're
called
busy
out
here.
Pikmin 4 and Oxenfree 2 in July as well.
Yeah.
Pikmin
yeah.
4 was
yeah.
a big game. And
Yeah, it was.
Oxenfree was a good puzzle game. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
but I mean,
Oxenfree. Wait a minute,
Nintendo-
Oxenfree
All right,
Part
move
2,
on.
right? Is it Oxenfree Part 2? Because it couldn't be Part
Yeah,
1.
it
has
was
to be
part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
part 2. Yeah. I remember he was playing it in party one night because
Yeah.
he's a big
Everyone
puzzle
was
guy.
raving about Pikmin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolute trash.
Oh no, I was talking about Oxenfree. Yeah.
What did you guys
Everyone
think of
loved
Exoprimal? I don't think it was that good. I love the PvE aspect, didn't like the PvP aspect.
Same way.
Yeah.
Enjoyed
Played
it
quite
for
a bit
that.
of it. I played it.
Yeah.
Oh, she played
Yo,
it.
hey, yeah, there you go.
Played it.
Yay!
I played it quite a bit. It was one of those games where it like wasn't necessarily great, but the gameplay loop was like, okay, just another one. Just another one.
Yeah.
Like I kind of liked
Mhm.
the way it played, but at the same time, like if I never played it again, I could care less. Are you
I
making
guess that's
notes
kind of how
about
I felt.
how my taste is trash or something? I see you writing things.
No, I
Mid.
largely felt the same, honestly. Overall, it was mid. I know. Hate to agree
The
with
story was
Bushido or something.
horrible. The
It
base
was.
stuff
Was there a
horrible.
story? Was there?
I was gonna say
Skip.
whatever story it
There was some
was.
sort of story. But the like fighting against a different team to make it to the objective first, that was fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I
it was.
actually enjoyed that.
It was. I think that spider bit me.
No.
I'm swelling up.
Don't worry. We expect you fully to be swallowed up and taken away. But yeah, no, like I agree with you. Like it was largely just it was
Sounds like a
largely
Friday
just
night.
kind of yeah. TD Jake style, swallowed up. But no, it's very odd. Like you said, Pete, it's the PvP part that just messed it up for me. If they would have had it strictly PvE in a co-op environment where you're going through tons of hordes of dinosaurs, that would have made more sense. But the way they mix it up, where you have to compete against another PvP team on the other side of the map and then come together and fight, it was just stupid to me. And it really took the game
Oh, I
down.
like
I
that.
think.
I thought that was really
You
cool.
like that part?
Yeah, I
I
liked
thought
it.
that was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I don't
It was
get it
different.
at all.
Sounds like a skill issue, right?
I did well though.
Were you
Like
always
I typically did well, but I
losing
just
to
didn't
Umbra?
like
Is
it.
that the problem?
No, I won. We won. I remember me and Pete even played it. We won, but
Yeah.
it was
we
just
won a few games,
unfun.
but yeah, I agree. Especially one where you have to like stay on the truck the whole time. I don't know. I like shooting the dinosaurs the best.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Pete likes killing
Bobby
wildlife.
said you Bobby said you're Spider-Man now. Assassin says, so how's it feel to have two podcasts? He said, if you're not careful, your ego will grow the size of Special Nick. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
God damn it!
Yeah,
It's not his podcast.
Yeah, hey, Assassin, you called it right, Assassin, brother. You're right. Listen, it's just all best if everything just goes under the infinite umbrella. I'm with you. You know, infinite blue number, that infinite Riskit for the biscuit, infinite JediKnightPeter. All these things should have infinite in front of it. Yeah.
I'm so shitty that I came up with this name now. I want to change it.
Too late. Yeah. Yeah.
We do got to move on. We're going to move on because something else that happened through three things happened in this month further than the games. Jesus Christ, was that English? Apologies if anyone's religious. PlayStation leaks dropped out because of a Sharpie. Someone didn't Sharpie up their their piece of paper properly. Like, isn't there an actual special redacted pen? Like, how do you mess that up? Like, you're a lawyer. You do how many years of school? Anyway, that should be a course, right? They should like sit them down and they should just redact a whole bunch of shit. Like they do their assignment and then the actual assignment is to redact their entire assignment so they get it right. I don't know, maybe they missed that course. But it came out that Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to develop over a 5-year period. And The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million to make. And why that's relevant is they really didn't make that much revenue back. And they obviously did profit off the game, but a little bit. Stop it, Assassin. I see what you're doing. Don't like it. And then Microsoft signed a 10-year COD deal to get this whole COD narrative that the FTC and the CMA were trying to sort of back up, but we're more hammering on one side. And I feel like it was very much collusion that happened between the two of them through the entire thing. It's like, we'll hit this side, try and get it blocked over here on these merits, and we'll hit that side and try and get it blocked over here on these merits. And why did I write down Holly is trash at games. It's weird. And then also something else that happened. I don't know why I wrote it down. It's weird. Also, something
You gonna,
else.
you gonna let him get that over on you like that, Holly? You're not gonna fight back. Come on.
It'll come back to him. Cocoon is coming up soon.
Also, something else that happened. I beat that game.
God is coming up soon.
First, Games with Gold. Games with Gold died. It whimpered. And I think, like, literally, when I was looking this up, by the way, going through this, because I spent hours putting together the topics for this week, like absolute hours. And when I was looking this up, I found 4 articles that said exactly the same headline, and it was Games with Gold goes out with a whimper. And I can't disagree with that. And they're almost the exact wording. So, I mean, you know, you want to talk Destin, you want to talk about Cabals. Where were you then? Yeah, I mean, Games with Gold was always going to die. They were always going to sign that COD deal. COD was never going to be, I think, from the very, very beginning, they made it very, very clear that it was never going to be exclusive. That was just a month of, you know, a bit of ridiculousness. We do have to move on to August. Sorry. So a lot of games came out. We can finally get to this one, guys, because we were talking about this one earlier in the show. Immortals of Avian came out and hit the ground, broke both of its legs, and the studio was shut down. Wasn't a terrible game. Holly seemed shocked. I don't know what at. Wasn't a terrible game.
Shocked because Holly joins the Infinite podcast is not on this list. I don't.
Oh, great point. That's a great point. we were by that blue number to join the cast. That's right.
We did. I can't remember what I did last week, and if it wasn't like on the internet and I can't search it up, that's probably why it's not here.
Trust me, I'm in the same boat. I need some ginkgo biloba or something in my life.
Either what?
Ginkgo biloba is supposed to help with memory. I don't know. I saw it on a commercial once, along with diabetes from old boy
Diabetes.
Robert Grimley.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
Was it along with the life alert?
Yeah.
You need some ginkgo biloba.
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
I need to remember to say this. Give me some ginkgo biloba.
Doesn't it sound like something an old Jewish lady would say? Hey, don't forget to get some ginkgo biloba from the store.
Oh God! Oh no! Back to
this is what happens, chat, when the show goes over 2 hours. This is why we always cut it to 2 hours, because things just get out of control. So Mortals of Avian broke both legs, shut the studio down, but Atlas Fallen, weird. I see, now I didn't play this game and I probably will come back to it. But Umbra, you really love this game, and Rand mercilessly trolled you on Twitter every chance he got.
He did. I loved it, man. Honestly, it's like, it's one of those games again. It's like, it's not superb. It's not an 8 or anything like that. It is definitely good though. It's a 7 for me. I think a 7.5 maybe. I forgot what I gave it, but it's in that range. It's one of those games where, like, how do I put this? It's like it has technical issues, right, in some regards, or at least design issues as far as the world is concerned in some ways. But it's one of those things where you get to go at your own pace. The combat is superb, and I'm sure you can agree with me on that, Pete, especially when you start upgrading and stuff like that. And it is fun as hell playing in co-op. I mean, me and Pete started doing crazy combos on these monsters after a second. And I think and it's like, that's where it excels at to me. But even just as a solo play, I think it's just a fun little game that's maybe a 16 to 20 hour, something like that type of game. It's in that AA game space to me. It's not really a AAA, although I'm sure it probably cost it probably was a AA budget. It felt like a AA, but it was a really good game. Honestly, I don't think it got enough love, unfortunately. I know that they did celebrate it doing reasonably well, but I will say I did expect a bit more from it when we first saw it announced. And if you all remember, that was one of my top, like, most excited for games a year before that when they showed it off. So overall, to me, it met my expectations. It didn't exceed my expectations, though, unfortunately, but it was still a really solid game. And Rand has no taste when it comes to that. So sorry, Rand has poor taste in games.
Solid gold dog shit. It was. No.
You forgot to bleep yourself.
Well, damn it.
It's too late.
Pete. It's too late. Pete, yeah, I mean, I know you thought it was all right. I mean, I always say this very often, that like Pete can play anything, even if it's holding hand and squishing dog, like, and he'll be happy as long as he's doing it with someone. And I think that's an awesome thing, but you really enjoyed the game more when you were playing it with people, which is not abnormal for you.
Enjoy it at all. Yeah, didn't enjoy it all when I was playing by myself.
Right.
The combat was fluid enough. You know, there was enough there. It was a beautiful looking game. I think everyone thought it came out on Unreal Engine 5, and I think there was something on the internet suggesting that it was, but it wasn't. I think it was Deck 13's homemade engine. Very beautiful game, but so much more fun playing in co-op. Like when me and Umbra started hitting those combos together, it was a hell of a lot of fun. Really, really exciting, really enjoyable. You got to work as a team. The co-op was pretty fluid, you know, just drop in, drop out. But yeah, it was like a 6.5 for me. I actually wish I bought Immortals of Avium. I'm really sad that Immortals of Avium didn't do well. I played the demo for that game recently, and I think it's a great game. And it's like they took a chance. EA took a chance, so they've been doing really well with their single player games that have a previous name like to them, like Dead Space and Jedi Survivor. But when it came to a brand new, fresh IP, it just didn't do well. And I worry about things like that because there was a lot of love that went into Immortals of Avium. So, I don't know. I'm still looking forward to that game coming out on Game Pass and finishing it off.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll come to Game Pass, it's true, and I'll play it when it does come there. But it's just disappointing that some of those IPs that are fresh and new don't always succeed. Especially, I think also it was just a really bad time to drop it. I mean, Baldur's Gate released in August as well, and released a huge fanfare. And then we had lots of discussions at the time about what Xbox should do, and a lot of heated discussions actually about that. And what they ended up doing was moving the line for that specific studio. And I don't think Couch Co-op is still available. Is available on the Series S. It's only available on the X. And look, I agree with all the points. Umbra's main point, I was on the stance of they shouldn't move the line. If they move the line, when, you know, where does that line, you know, then end? But I think looking back, in fairness, they made the right decision. Umbra wasn't right, but they made the right decision. So I just wanted to make sure that was very, very clear. Very, very clear.
Yes, very concise. Very concise.
Before you move on,
we're
Hargeet
trying to get
through. Yeah,
we're trying to get through Hargeet. Like honestly, bro, we've already gone over.
Oh, we're well over. Yeah, I knew it was going to go over, but which is why we most definitely couldn't have a guest this week.
Hargeet's been putting in every month the games for everybody just to look. He's been putting them in the chat. They're great. He's got really good lists for each month.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've only just seen him do it in August, so I've put it up. I had it up on screen. But Hargeet's super chat, he said, July had a very important moment. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart comes to PC, destroying the magical SSD narrative. 2023 was terrible for ponies. So many narratives debunked by PlayStation themselves. So true. And that was great. And the pushback on that on Twitter was hilarious. It's like, oh no, it doesn't play as good. It's like, well, they didn't say it didn't play as good. They said they couldn't do it anywhere else but on the SSD. So yeah. Something else happened. Massive in the month of August. The Gran Turismo movie released, and no one gave a fuck, and no one still does give a fuck. I mean, my son said it was actually
now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. I might watch it just to see.
I actually got told it was a pretty good movie. Someone compared it to Ford versus Ferrari, and I can't see that because that movie is fantastic.
You've been talking to my son.
Yes, I have. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have.
that's exactly what he said to me, and I'm like, I was like, get out of my house, get out. If he's talking about my favorite car maker, Ford, and then comparing it to a PlayStation movie, it's just he was disowned immediately. We don't speak anymore.
You did the right thing.
Yadani Quizano with the $2 super chat says, take Ginkgo biloba with them to the gas station. Pills.
I wonder if you all know what those the gas station pills are.
No.
But I saw his chat.
Oh, I see that.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I see what he said.
yeah,
I get what he's...
they sell different like sexual oriented space type pills there at gas stations.
But they're natural.
They're natural. Yeah.
Ginkgo
Spanish
biloba.
fly. Take me some ginkgo biloba with Spanish fly. I'm ready for you, Agnes. I'm ready for you. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't you skip? I think you skipped the super chat, didn't you?
Nope. Definitely didn't. I read that one out.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely read that one out. Yeah. I just didn't heart it. The Paige Shield one.
Bushido wants to know the knee count.
No, it's one with
Hargi.
At some point. Yeah, no, I got that one. Got that one.
Okay.
What does Bushido want to know? Who has the most knees? Oh, well, that's me. It's not even a question. Spartan.
No. I think I'm leading the pack. I
don't know about that. You put yourself into ones that you weren't even had anything to do
no.
with. I've got 2 knees. I know.
However, I've snaked my way into it. I have at least 3 knees right now. I'm pretty sure of that.
I've got 2. And you just slipped
thanks to the gas station
ones
pills
that you had no business.
Those gas station pills came in handy.
Spartan 661 with the 499 super chat. He says the question is, what Xbox game studio has ever shut down a gaming studio due to sales? In all realness, did they post any game being cancelled? No, they didn't. They didn't, and it's because of the power of Game Pass, which is not profitable or sustainable. The views of Riskit do not reflect the views of... Anyway, moving on. August. A lot happened in August, and we're going to have to start moving along because we're already at 2.5 hours, and we're already in August. God help me. Gamescom happened. Keeley got rushed again. That was absolutely fantastic. I got to say, warmed my heart. Really don't like that man. He's a full-on... Phil got interviewed by Destin. We got some juicy moments out of that. We got a hint that they would be moving the line for Baldur's Gate. He spoke a lot about that. And the Portal was announced. No one ever heard of it again. A lot of people bought the Portal. It actually did sell well. Yeah, it sold out on launch week. I think they only released 3 though. And I just can't believe that thing sold out. Like, that just goes to show you. I mean, if you haven't been on Twitter and you don't already know that there's a lot of stupid people in the world, X-Fault too, he's one of them. Then the sales of like the Portal, that's just I mean, honestly, just sidebar, that X-Fault guy is probably one of the stupidest people on the planet, and he publicly shows it on a regular basis. Like, it's just that guy just can't be helped.
Watch out for him. Him and his buddies actively look for ways to get Xbox fans like actively blocked and permanently suspended on Twitter. So just be careful of him and his friends.
Oh yeah,
it happened to my friend.
They did that to Epic Treasure.
And
they
other people
definitely did it to Epic.
Yeah. Did it to Epic? But here's the thing: you just gotta be careful what you say and how you say it. Like that's just
which
you've got
to always, but just don't let yourself get baited. That's it.
Yeah. If they're gonna bait you into a fight, you start swearing, they're gonna get you every time.
Him and Joker. So just stay away from him.
Yep, block them and keep them moving. But I just want to say, as far as the Portal goes, I'm sure it was limited supplies, but then it just goes back to what I've been saying for a long time, is that our Hoove brothers are dedicated and loyal to the cause. So if they know the general consensus was that this thing was trash, they knew that. they know that it's trash. Ultimately, it's just a streaming device. You can't even, get your cloud saves and such on the thing. So, yeah, exactly. So what they'll do is slurp it up and defend Sony at any cost. And that means buying things like this that they know they're not going to use. Yeah. I had to join. After I caught on, I had to join in with the slurp. Yeah, you enjoying that drink over there, huh? Yeah, you enjoy.
The longer it goes, the better it is.
We're here for you
Oh,
to
damn.
do official sound effects.
So the real thing in September was Cyberpunk, by the way.
Oh, we haven't got to
September was
September
a
yet.
crazy month.
Oh,
We're not up September.
all right.
We're at the portal sucks is where we're at.
Oh, because it's all scratched out in September. Okay.
And before I interrupted Umbra
Well,
with the slurpy
yeah,
sounds, I do
obvious.
apologize. I just couldn't pass
No.
up that. But we're at the
It's
portal
always,
sucks.
yeah, it's always good for, let me stop myself. Listen, yo, Donnie, you a nut. Bobby Hawk says, Umbra, a lot of people, yeah, oh, yeah. These lists show me Games Pass value last year. Seriously. Game Pass is like a sore. I won't say the rest. You can't beat it.
Eggplant.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he says these lists shows me Game Pass value last year. Seriously, the Game Pass is like a sore eggplant. You can't beat it. I beat it if you
So
did.
good.
Is that a challenge, sir?
We'll get the hammer out first, and then we'll see what. Oh.
Oh, well,
Anyway, we gotta.
Christ, that's right. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie, but they smash it with the hammer. Oh wow.
Terrible.
Damn.
It's terrible. Bobby says a lot of Xbox people bought the PlayStation, who have a PlayStation, bought the portal. Does it make them a pony? I would say it makes them pony adjacent, Bobby Hawk. Yeah.
Yep.
Terrible
Pony
investment.
adjacent.
Yeah.
I like that. We do have to move on to September. So we had a lot of games. We had a lot of games here, and we've got to skip over a particular
Hargy
game.
has some extras in there too.
He did.
Yeah. He put some extras in there too.
He did. We got
Mortal Kombat
Liza
and
P.
Party Animals, Payday 3.
That dropped with an 80 Metacritic. Mr. Bushido is still playing that game. I don't know how, but I haven't even got to that. It's in my backlog. Got a fantastic reception. Looks fantastic. I think it'll be one that I will probably finish. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. If you support those, that's your own fault when they release broken games. I'm going to lecture every single one of you. Anyone that bought Cyberpunk, plays it, enjoys it, talks about it, you're the problem. You're the problem.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Oh, shit, I'm wrong.
Wrong.
And Cocoon, which I beat well before Blue, and then I had to help her through the game. So that was, it was annoying.
There's witnesses. It's fine.
It's annoying. Yeah.
I
Cocoon
was in the
amazing.
party that day. That was a funny party to be in.
So you're the tiebreaker here, Pete. Who helped who?
Well, I remember Riskit helping Holly once, and Holly helping Riskit maybe 3 or 4 times. But my memory is pretty terrible.
No, that is not true. That is not true.
Accurate. Accurate.
Get him some ginkgo biloba. He can't remember.
Ginkgo biloba for Pete. I mean, come
The
on.
funny thing is I finished that game in like 2 hours. So I don't know what those guys are even doing.
Pete didn't even finish the tutorial. Okay.
I was going to say, I think it's impossible to beat it in 2 hours.
I
mean, we know Pete didn't play it that far, but yeah.
The misogyny is also infinite.
Yeah.
Whoa, what's it? Look, I had to help her. It's not my fault. Like, she's bad at game. I even wrote it down. Like, says Holly's trash at games. So, I just been helpful. I don't think that's misogynistic. Just because I mansplain the entire game doesn't mean that, you know.
If anything, that shows you're a feminist, that you were willing to help a woman out like that. All right.
That's right.
Don't put yourself in that camp. Don't do
I'm
it.
just, but I feel like if he's being helpful to you, doesn't that?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I would be on your side, Holly, but you've been cursing me out this entire show, so I don't, you know.
Yeah, right.
Just-
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when she was just like,
New me.
Yeah.
Did it again?
See? Started again.
did it again.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Like, yeah. One time I just complimented her PC. I'm like, I like the new PC over there. And she was like, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I remember that. I remember that happened.
Yeah. In the green room. You all should have seen it.
Look at the
This is
look at the
Love
Uh.
that camera.
face. Oh, these guys. So good. We should probably get back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about, which is games. So Starfield dropped that month. That was huge. This is the thing. So we haven't had a good long conversation about this, and we really don't have time for one now, but we're gonna. We're still talking about Starfield. It's still going. The discourse is back and forth all the time. And I really do feel like this is when we had the Xbox tax conversations. I really do feel this game got hit with an Xbox tax. It definitely had its problems, but it was a fantastic game. It shook you, Danny Quesada. It sounds like Donald Trump. I had to help her, helpless Holly. I call her. She was begging me to level her up. That's terrible, you Danny. That is so bad. But funny. Ooh, come on, focus. My ADD is just kicked in. Red, where are you? I need help with this.
Oh Lord.
So Starfield, I mean, to me, look, I would give the game, I think I sat at about an 8.5. I don't do points, so I'm going to call it 8. It definitely wasn't a boring ass game, Bobby Hawk. No, it was not. Look, it had parts of it, and I think if you and I hate to say this, Umbra, because this is the same conversations that we had about Death Stranding. I would say this, and they also, you know, if you remember, it was Link who said you had to play it for like 28 hours before it got good. But moving to Starfield, like it was also, he also said it's like how you played it. You need to play it a certain way for it to be fun. And I really do believe that, because a lot of people were skipping from planet to planet, and I never did that. So I always jumped in my ship and flew from planet to planet. So I got, you know, a lot of the content that just happens randomly. I managed to run into that, and that sort of made it fun. So, and there were lots of things that you could do in quests that would take you a certain way and into a certain thing. Obviously can't get into it, but like absolutely fantastic game. I really love that game. It's probably my first Bethesda game that I spent a lot of time in. So to me, Starfield was definitely an 8. I think it got an unfair sort of rap on Metacritic. On Xbox, it's still sitting at an 83. And I think that that's probably fair. 83, 85 is about where I would put it as well. We've probably got a lot to say on Starfield. So let's jump to Umbra.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, and I think we came to the exact same score roughly. I had an 85, so we're like right there. That's what I came to, and the game is great. It does have flaws though, and one of them is, you know, for me, I feel like it didn't modernize itself enough to new game styles and designs. What I mean by that is a lot of the styling of it is in the old Bethesda way, so it just doesn't have that modern feel. So a lot of it feels like outdated in approach. And I think that hindered things. And it took away from the RPG elements of it. Whereas in the past, you had stronger dialogue options and choices. This felt less of that in Starfield for me compared to previous titles like Oblivion and such, or even Skyrim, for instance. But it excelled in other ways, right? The beauty of the game. And I'm not just talking about visually as far as like, oh, look how sharp these pixels are. I'm talking about just the general beauty of wandering through space or to some planet and you look out and just see these things. It's like a lot of it was awe-inspiring. Beautiful game in that regard. Better combat than I would have expected overall. as far as first person shooting mechanics and things like that go. Um, overall, really, really love the game. It still is my game of the year from last year, despite it having those faults. Put in a ton of time, 334 hours, and I'm going to go back to it to finish up the achievements because I didn't finish it up. But that just goes to show you, for me at least, that I know I enjoyed it so much, because typically for me to put that much time into something, and no, that's one of the contentions we've had. Like, oh, I put in 870 hours. Wouldn't recommend it. It's like, stop, And that's the problem this game has had. It's the integrity issue that we go back to, Risk. And that's that people have been using this game as a stepping stool for clout and for engagement and to
Agreed.
boost
Yeah.
themselves up in some way. Yeah, and it's really unfortunate, man. We can't just get real, genuine takes. I don't know what this landscape has become, but it's definitely going in the wrong direction. And Starfield got the brunt of it. You got people like Bobby Hawk here, who has been hating on it, from the part of town, and I expect our PlayStation brothers to hate on it. I do, because they know they wanted it bad. And
Mhm.
so we expected that from them. But what I didn't expect was some of the reviewers to be unfair. Much like we got with the Hogwarts, you got a lot of unfair, you know, judgments on this too. The 4 out of 10s and stuff like that from people who play 5 hours, stuff like that. Things of that nature is what really hurt it for me overall. So I just don't trust. It took a lot of trust away I had previously from reviewers in general, and really, really strengthened my, I guess, resolve to kind of just get to how I'm going to see it myself. Less faith in reviewers because I think they lack integrity, and more just playing it myself and finding out. And I might maybe even I'll look at user reviews, maybe, but even that you can't trust nowadays. So it's just unfortunate. And Starfield was the most talked about game of the year for a reason. You know what I mean? A lot of
Still is.
controversy around it. Still is. So yeah, but crazy great game. Obviously crazy good month again. But yeah, biggest game of the month for sure.
Blue, what were your thoughts on Starfield? We played a lot of this as a group, actually. A lot of it all at the same time. So
Yeah, small parties. Yeah. Um, I have 165 hours in Starfield. I still haven't finished the main story the first time. I haven't gone to New Game Plus yet. Uh it's Starfield is just a really difficult thing to talk about. I feel like Starfield is one of those that if you don't like Bethesda games, you're really not going to like Starfield. That's just
Mhm.
it. But and I do think there are, even as a Bethesda fan myself, I think there's a lot of things with Starfield that were cumbersome and you know, over the top for a Bethesda fan. Um, at least as far as like it needs modded, it needs a little help, right? Like, I, I'm used to inventory management, but even in that game, it was brutal.
It was.
Anyway, so it just I I see a lot of brilliance in Starfield because the story itself, when you actually get to a certain point, it just like blows your mind, right? And there's some other stuff. And I see a lot of awesome things in Starfield, and I think over the long haul, after they've done some things and added some DLC and just done some patching and stuff to it, I really do think it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal game. But it has flaws that I don't think they anticipated people to be as upset about as they are. And I think they're valid flaws, but it is a brilliant game.
Mhm.
It just, you have to wade through and be willing to set some of those things aside, which I understand as a general public or even a reviewer, that you don't necessarily feel like those things that you have to set aside should be part, like, you shouldn't have to do that, right? It will compromise your score, it will compromise your opinion of the game. Um, I said the other day I saw a Jez Corden tweet and DeMarco Dude called me stupid for it, but it was this tweet and it just really resonated with me. And he said, there's a lot of hate on Starfield right now because of things, right? Like whether it's Xbox things or other things. There's just a lot of angry, negative energy around Starfield. But his statement was that as history defines Starfield, it will actually turn out much differently. He feels like it's going to be a very positive reception over time. And
Probably,
DeMarco's point was, well, of course, because people who hate on it now, and then they move on with their lives. But the core audience who do love the game will keep playing it, and they're the ones that will have commentary about it in the future. But my pushback on that is The Last of Us 2. Like, you either love that game or you hate that game, and people who hate that game, like myself, will remind you very vehemently that I hate that game, right? So I do think that Starfield is great. I think it needs work. And it is a little disappointing that what we saw in June that we were so excited for at FanFest isn't quite what we got.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
my
I
opinion on it.
think that's pretty valid. And you're right. The complaints on it were definitely valid. Like the loading screens, all that sort of stuff, everything that became a meme were valid complaints. I just don't think it quite would have got the hate that it garnered if there wasn't one side of the community like jumping on its flaws as hard as it did. And I think we saw some of the bias in the media like come out. I mean, when you've got the head reviewer over at IGN reviews it, gives it I believe it was a 7, but then says in a space that the game was great. And great, IGN's score great is 8. So
He also said that he had it in an 8, but once he read his review, he took it to a 7. I'm like, brother, what?
Is it your birthday?
Yeah, you just see some balloons pop up.
I don't know how the hell
By the
that
way,
happened.
did you pronounce memes as memes? By the way, I thought I heard you say that.
You guys have had this discussion before.
We have, haven't
numerous
we?
times. Yeah,
I forgot. See, that's why I need Ginkgo biloba
We-
right there. But
Starfield is a bigger conversation than what we're trying to do now. It should honestly just be like its own episode.
yeah,
It's too
Oh
big.
yeah,
that's true. Oh,
you're right. Well, we'll get
you walk right
It's
into
too
that
big.
one, Blue. Yeah.
it's way too big.
Badoosh.
Pete, do you want to jam your opinion in there, and then we'll move on?
Yeah, really quickly because I enjoyed Starfield. I get what they were going for. They were going for that bleak, desolate, alone atmosphere. I think they did that. I think Starfield is great because you can play it any way you want. I was talking to Coz the other day, and she was a space pirate chef. And I think that's what makes the game great. When you're bored, you can just go scan a planet and just get lost in that, or you can go fight some pirates, or you can do a story mission, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I think the story was told really, really well. It has emotional impact. You're right, Holly, that impactful point in the story does really change everything and makes it better. I think it takes a little bit too long to get there. And then there are other missions that I don't know how you found, Holly, that Operation Starseed mission where you meet FDR, where you meet Amelia Earhart, where you meet Genghis Khan. And I think that's really, really cool. So I think I gave it an 8.5 as well. And Starfield's one of those games where I think you either love it or you hate it. So people that love it have hundreds of hours of in it. People that didn't really like it, I don't think gave it enough time.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And obviously, like we were saying, I think it was a bit of the Xbox tax going on. Speaking of the Xbox tax, Xbox sort of taxed themselves by leaking 10 years into the limelight. And we're going to run through this super, super quickly. And what I'll do is I'll flick over to my other screen, which does have sound now, which is fantastic. So the leaks that we got were we got a new controller, the Sybil, which seems to be a bit of a haptic controller. Which is I've actually always wanted. I actually don't mind the haptics in some circumstances, and in some circumstances on the PS5 I turn them off. So it really just depends on what game I'm playing. If I've got a trigger fighting me though, I don't appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out how to do those balloons before I could do it, but I'll get to it. So then we get a release schedule for going into 2024. So I mean, obviously we've already seen 23 the rest of the years. We've got the Elder Scrolls 6. Project Kestrel, another licensed IP game. So, I mean, some people were talking about the licensed IP game being Blade, but if that's supposed to be in 2024, I'm a little bit confused. Also, with Dishonored 3 in there. And then Doom Year Zero, Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, which is really disappointed about. I don't want to see another one of those. We got the Brooklyn. Now, here's the thing. I'm really hoping that we get this becomes a pro refresh. And I think if PlayStation's doing one, I think that we'll see that. I think the other things to note were, there's their push into AI and to direct ML. Now, I heard about this from someone in the community, and that there was a studio that was actually working on this within their game and for their NPCs. And we saw an acquisition later in the year, which I haven't got down as to talk about, or a partnership where Microsoft has partnered with a company that deals with AI around NPCs. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the future with Xbox's games, and will they move into the next sort of stage, which I believe is AI and physics. Starting to get these NPCs to just act like according to how you're behaving in the game without having scripted responses. I think that's quite far into the future. Launch timelines. Was good to see. We got the Elwood, which is talking about the I believe the Elwood is the Series S 2 terabyte. No, sorry, that's the Brooklyn, I think, was the launch. The Sybil launch is supposed to be May of this year, which is 2024 Q4. And then the mid-gen console announced is supposed to come in July of this year. So very interesting. All that stuff that leaked out, that was massive. I don't want to stick on this too long unless you guys have got a bit to say about it, because I want to try to get moving through, because we're coming up to 3 hours. No one? Anyone?
Are we just talking about the month of October?
We are still in September. This is when this drops, the back end of September.
Okay. Well, no, nothing else.
Yeah, move along.
Everyone's like, go.
Yeah.
And the back end of September, also, Unity fucked all the devs over, which is absolutely amazing to see. I just thought the end of this was hilarious. They rolled absolutely everything back, and then rolled everything back and fired the CEO, which is beautiful, which is John Riccatello. He's the guy, if you don't know, who was talking about charging people for extra ammo in Battlefield when he was over at EA. So he's not one of my favorite people on the planet. He's basically a massive. Gonna move on to the next month, which we are only at October. It's good having a fat mouth because you can do the blah, blah. Not the blah, that totally different thing.
No. You set yourself up.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It's a long show.
You all saw him.
Look, I'm going to rush through some stuff here, so we're moving on. There's a couple of things I definitely want to talk about.
You're still sharing screen. You're still sharing screen.
All this stuff. This is what I do on a weekly basis. We actually normally sit down and do it together, except for Blue, because she said she hates us, doesn't want to spend any time with us. I don't know, it's weird.
Because they do it at 3 a.m., which is ridiculous.
Anyways, excuses, man. I would wake up to do topics for a gaming podcast. Jeez.
Yeah.
I tell them I'm asleep at that time, and they're like, "Don't care."
It's true.
Are you telling us you don't love us? Is that what you're saying now?
That I don't wake up at 3 a.m. to do topics?
Yeah.
I like sleep better.
More
like
than
sleep.
us? More than us?
Definitely.
Sheesh.
Definitely.
I mean, Umbra literally sleeps in podcasts. So, I mean, if we're talking about who likes sleeping more, I feel like it's Umbra's winning that race. So October.
Fucking hell, you, Donnie. Oh, my God, bro.
This is what dropped. What did you, Donnie, say? Oh, my God. I'm not even going to read that out. So October, the month of October, we got Assassin's Creed Mirage. Fantastic game. I 100%ed that game. I only 100% games that I really like, and I really liked that one. I enjoyed it. I think it could have been better, but I think it was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. Forza Motorsport, not a big fan. That got an 84. Lords of the Fallen, Pete, love that. Completed it. A lot of yelling, a lot of abuse. Yeah, I felt like when I did
Amazing
play,
game.
when I was in the party with Pete, I felt like a battered husband. Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 released, Alan Wake 2 released, and Mario Wonder released. So this is like one of the biggest months I think we've had in the year.
No question.
Yeah, for me, Spider-Man 2 is not deserving of 90 Metacritic at all. I think Assassin's Creed Mirage should have been up to around about an 80, personally. And Alan Wake was just one of the most, my game of the year. That's my game of the year. It just was perfect. But we talked about that at the start of the show. I'll kick it to the panel. Is there anything that you guys wanted to sort of cover off on when it comes to games?
Warhammer 48,000 Darktide, 40K Darktide. That was actually kind of fun. Yeah, that was kind of fun. We played. Yeah. You had a bunch of games actually. Again, it just goes back to show why Game Pass is so valuable, because we had this. You had Lamplighters League that was dropped into it. You had what else? You had Jusson. You had not in it, but Assassin's Creed Mirage obviously launched. Forza for me was a bit of a disappointment, only because this is my thing, and I said this before. I didn't think they should have launched another Forza that soon. I didn't. I know people are like, well, it's been 3 years. It needed some more years, in my opinion. I just think that it didn't feel like anybody was clamoring for another Forza at that moment, especially after we've been so accustomed, to Horizon. I honestly think Horizon is just a better series overall. You know what I mean? So. And then they failed in some ways with Forza Motorsport, unfortunately.
No, I'll push back on that a little bit, bro.
Yeah,
People that love Horizon,
he's
love
going to push
Horizon.
back.
People that love Motorsport love Motorsport, and I think they were asking for another Motorsport. People like Boba and Monad. It's a very different type of game.
It is. It is definitely a different type of game, but like even with Boba and Gray, like I don't think they're still playing it like they used to, right?
Yeah, look, the game didn't hit, but that's not to say that there wasn't, expectation that Forza was going to be great. I agree with you, Umbra. The Horizon series is much better. It's much more fun. It's much more arcadey. I don't want to get into my car and manipulate things to the nth degree. That's not fun to me.
Yeah, and for those who are big sim racers, it's more for them. It's their style, right? But even with that crowd, I've heard
they
them
weren't happy.
They weren't happy about it, exactly. So I just think it was a miss all around, which is rare for Turn 10, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a lot.
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff missing. So like, there's a lot of stuff missing in the campaign. Ains is a really big car guy. I think you guys might have briefly met Ains, but me and Blue know Ains pretty well. He runs a site called Season Gaming. Fantastic site, by the way. His reviews are always on point. And he was pretty disappointed with a lot of the campaign stuff that was missing. A lot of the car development stuff that was missing that were in previous games at launch. So I think that was the issue. I don't think it was, like graphical or how the game played. I think it was more like some of the features that were missing out of the game that they announced like just before they dropped it. So I do feel like it was a bit of a miss. I mean, it's pretty rare that you see Forza games out of the 90s. And this is, it was a little bit of a miss, but it was still a great game, I think, a great launch. So I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Pete, as well. But there was some pushback from the community that are really into that. And for myself personally, I wanted it to see like that it used the hardware, like properly use that hardware. And I don't feel like it did. I think we haven't seen a game from first party that has used the hardware. Shout out to Kayasanti. We're not there yet. If we get to the end of the generation, man, I'm going to take your knees. So something else happened. Something else happened at the back end of October. It's always in the back end, isn't it? Jim Ryan announced his retirement. Quotation marks. I can do that now.
Yeah.
I can do that. You guys can see it. I don't feel like this dude.
Singing for that one.
I don't feel like this dude retired. I mean, like one of the weakest reasons. Oh, I've got to travel. You know, I didn't know that was going to happen, and it's tough traveling and stuff. So I'm going to quit. You know, first class just isn't for me. You know, like this is bullshit. And I think the more that we've seen, I'll tell you in the chat, the more that we've seen this sort of what's been happening through the year with PlayStation play out, the more it confirms to me that is exactly what happened, is that he was let go, given the option to retire because of the direction that he's taken the studios in, and the brand in. You know, PSVR 2 not successful, Portal not successful, live service released at the showcase pushed back. No one, you know, in the immortal words of Fallout 4, no one liked that. Yeah, I think more that we see the evidence. And as I said, when we start to see the turn, the rollback of live service, which we have started to see, and I've tagged Broken Games in that one quite a few times. He hasn't responded. As I said to him, like when we see the rollback, that's the proof right there in the pudding that they're pushing back on Jim's vision. And from what we've seen from Jim's vision, it hasn't been very successful.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I have not changed. I think he was forcefully retired, if you will. I don't. It just seemed unnatural to me. It didn't seem like a real proper retirement to me, especially with like all the stuff that had just happened. We had the whole trial thing that went down with them in the CMA and everything like that. Excuse me, with the FTC here. It just seemed like abrupt. And Sony is not above doing it, as they did that to Sean Layden, just literally escorted him out of the building. So I don't buy that he just simply retired. It just didn't feel right. Just to add on to other games, obviously Dave the Diver was really talked about a lot. Steam and Switch, I know. Alan Wake 2 obviously was up for Game of the Year. I know Holly thought it was a masterpiece outside of the combat. And
Mario Wonder was absolutely fantastic too.
I was gonna say, didn't you liked Wonder, right? Yeah, I know you and Hargeet, I think, was playing it, talked about that as well. But Spider-Man 2, good game, hindered by, in my opinion, bad agendas. Honestly, other than that, really enjoyed it. But yeah, if I had to say my game of the month for what is this, October? Man. Tough to say. I would give it to Spider-Man, just because that's the only one I have played mostly out of all of these here.
Nobody liked that.
I only played a bit of Wonder, so I didn't get enough in it to really give it its fair shake.
Have you got a Switch?
No, I emulated it.
Okay, let's me and you have a conversation later on, because I would like to buy a Switch from you. Guys, something else that was massive, huge, and between everything else that happened this in this month. Do you guys know what happened this month? The main thing?
Was the deal certified at that moment?
The deal went through.
Yes. Yeah, boy.
And we finally got to stop talking about it. This was the last month. And it's been out of it. Like, we are ABK talked out. Thank God. Wait till the next acquisition. Everyone's probably going to groan. They're going to be like, yeah, oh, God.
Right. It felt like that whole discussion around that ABK thing was so tiresome after a while, right? Like,
it just got,
oh, finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just speculation and the ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster of the whole thing, and the PlayStation guys being absolutely unbearable. They've got even worse. I didn't think they were. I thought they would. I didn't honestly think this, but I had hoped that they would just shut up after that, but they didn't. Yeah. It was honestly just the culmination of an entire 21 months of back and forth. That was just good to see come to a close. I will add, we have not yet seen Game Pass drops yet. And I'm curious as to when we'll get that. Like, what is going on now? I mean, we're not there yet. We get to the end of January and they don't shadow drop in some of that direct. All the ABK games are in, which I actually think will happen. I think Stalker 2 will be a drop, and I think that they'll drop the whole library into Game Pass. Probably no, you don't think so?
No. I think they'll move stuff in and out.
Oh, you think
over
they'll
time. It's a big library when you think about everything. For everything, you think they'll drop everything that ABK has?
No, I don't think they'll drop everything. I think they'll drop it in incrementally, but they'll drop a lot of their big stuff.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be curated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they will have picked
definitely curated.
Yeah, they will have picked
Go
like
ahead.
maybe 10 of their biggest titles that they want to drop in there, and they'll drop those, and then or maybe they'll pick 5
It'll
and
be
then 5
family
smaller.
games. It'll be COD. It'll
Yeah,
it'll be a
absolutely.
The current speculation, of course, is that the next direct will be around the 14th through the 19th, between those times. If you all haven't seen that, by the way, by a user called, what is it?
Well, it
Nate
won't be
the
the
Hate?
15th because that's Martin Luther King Day. They won't do it on a holiday.
Right.
So it'll
It'll
probably
just
be
be
the
it'll be
16th.
within that week, they say. So 14th through the
Yeah.
19th, they say. I forgot which user posted it, or talked about it, but yes, that's the speculation currently.
Nate the
Yeah.
Hate.
Was it Nate
Yeah,
the
I think
Hate? It was.
I think it'll be. Yeah, I think it was Nate the Hate, and I think it'll definitely. I think he's right. I was expecting one in January or early February, so I don't think it's a stretch.
Our biggest show was in October, so after the ABK acquisition, and a lot of podcasts blew up, that week, and it was a
They did.
really fun show, and it was so good to finally talk about, like just the acquisition, and then just, it had been a long, grueling process, and there was so many ups and downs through it, and it was so good to get it out of the way. And the hate was flowing on Twitter. It was brilliant. I know a lot of receipts were brought up, and it was just a great time to be an Xbox fan. I mean, all of last year was a great time to be an Xbox fan. But yeah, that was one of my highlights of my year.
Yeah.
By the way, I just looked it up to be sure. Nate the Hates, his is about the Xbox game coming over to another platform. Xantorn, the guy's name is Xantorn. He's the one that is saying that the direct will be between the 14th and the 19th.
Okay.
KSane in the chat says you call it the rollback Riskit. I call it the connect is optional moment. Yeah, I think he's talking about the PlayStation.
Yes.
Pivot.
Me selling you the Switch. Me selling you the Switch. I think that's what he was.
Yeah.
Alluding
Yeah.
to.
Anyway, we're gonna move on to the next month, and the next month is November. And we're going to try to race through these last two because we have most definitely cracked the 3 hour, and we're not going for a 4. I got to tell you, this chair isn't comfortable after a while. It feels like I've spent some time inside. Call of Duty. Sorry. Oh yeah, Yeah, I would burn that. If you do ever visit Umbra, take that out the street, stomp on it for me, and film that. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3. Oh, there's so much to talk about. This is bullshit, absolute bullshit. Like the more I've played this game, the better it has become. It is absolutely fun. There's lots of stuff that I don't like about it. The convoluted UI, the single player was it, but by no means is this game a 4. Like absolute bullshit. And after the Starfield, like you would think that they would pull their finger out of their ass and do unbiased reviews. What chair is it, Udani? It's just a green one. It's a green one. It's a great gaming chair. I made it myself. So yeah, Modern Warfare, we can definitely move on for that. Bungie axed hundreds of devs, and we found out that Sony may be taking over Bungie, which would be just that. Like, how many years have they dodged the axe that studio? Like, there's many times I think where they managed to slip out from under. And if Sony ends up being the company that sort of ends that champion run, I think that's, I mean, it's going to be themselves, obviously, because of how they've handled some of the stuff, and then letting their community managers go, which is these are the people that you should be listening to. They're giving you the feedback from the community, and if you're not listening, and those are the people that you let go. Not to mention the composer from the Halo series score. And Destiny's been with the company for 30 plus years. It was just that was just terrible to hear. There was too many layoffs in this year, and we'll get to that in a minute. Umbra, you just finished RoboCop. Quick thoughts?
Yeah, RoboCop was excellent. I'm actually surprised that it's funny that it released that November rather. Played through it, as they say, mastered it. So I got the 1,000 out of 1,000. Loved it overall. and I enjoyed it, man. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think that's more than fair. It's dated. If you play it, and Pete, this is for you because you were asking about it. It is definitely worth getting. I would get it at a lower price though, because I know that you all said it was like 70 or 80 for you all at the price I told you, right? Like 40.
Yeah, it's like 77, and that was on sale, bro. But that was the deluxe edition, came with a couple of extra things, but
it does, yeah. Which is funny, by the way. Like, why did they sell the deluxe at such price, but the regular edition is still 60 or whatever. Anyway, great game in a way, like a nostalgia rush. And if you've loved the old movies, which I know you did, Pete, this might be the game for you. It has a 7th gen kind of design style to it because it's level based and things like that, and the gunplay is kind of but it's not bad. It's just it's not in the leagues of the real first person shooters. You know what I mean? But man, the nostalgia over like rush, seriously. They had Peter Weller come back to voice him. So it's just dope in that way. They did a lot right. It was some things clearly wrong. The faces of characters and stuff. You're gonna be like, what the hell is this? Did they snort some crack before they made this? This not the developers. I mean the character that walked up to me as RoboCop. Yeah. Anyway,
Dead or alive.
Great.
You're coming with me.
You're coming with me. If you don't, there will be trouble.
There's that's just I need to watch that again. Running Man just got released on Australian Netflix last night. That's another great one. I'd love to see someone do a video game of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man. That is like one of the that would make an awesome game, like an 80s like brutal, horrific, and you've got your hunters, the guys who are coming after to kill you with special abilities, and then you've got your guys who are running who have got special abilities. That would be awesome. I don't know where that's that, but if anyone's listening out there, Phil,
love
Running Man is
Sarah,
my favorite
Running
Arnold movie.
Love it.
That's your favorite, huh?
You muted, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Holly is
No,
muted.
I'm not.
Oh my god.
No, she's not, bro.
No, I'm not.
So I like.
You can't really hear her?
It's very good. You got to move your mouth. You move your mouth, and we'll do that. Oh, everyone's muted.
I don't trust it.
Oh wow.
No.
Or maybe you're not muted.
No.
I think my earpiece.
No, she's not muted, brother. Yeah,
Right,
she's not muted, bro. Yeah, look, sorry. I was one thing that I forgot to mention in October, which was very big for me. Halo
3 hours,
Season
people.
5
I can't hear a damn
released.
word you're saying.
Halo Season 5 released and completely changed the direction of that game, fixed so many of the issues they had. Pierre Hines really knocked it out of the park, and I did forget to mention that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Halo, their new updates. Riskit, you really can't hear us? Oh, damn, you really can't hear us.
KLZ said I muted him, and that's probably the most accurate guess, but it's not what actually happened.
Well, now is the perfect time for me to start singing, isn't it, Holly? Start spreading the news.
So that when he starts hearing things, it's just going to be infinite Umbra.
Yes.
I can hear you now. You guys been singing this whole time?
I want to be a part of it.
Especially if Pete was singing. Oh my god! If Pete was singing, chat, I sincerely apologize.
I was talking about Halo Season 5 dropping, bro. So I forgot to mention that last month. For October.
Meh. Oh yeah, meh.
No, I fully co-sign that. Actually, Halo deserves some love. It's not getting enough love, honestly, in my opinion. At least from the media. The fans who have been playing it, they know that it's actually been a really solid 2 seasons now, back to back. So I'm with you on that, Pete. The firefight is exceptionally fun, especially if you play it on Legendary.
I still haven't played it, man.
Yeah.
Every time I try to get in, like I cannot get into a match. So
Man,
I
you
still
gotta
have
get
not
in
had a
on
chance
that.
to play Halo Firefight.
That
They
sucks.
dropped Legendary. I don't know why they did it. I jumped in with Panda the other day, and yeah, look, Legendary kicks your butt, and half the people in there shouldn't be playing Halo on easy, let alone on Legendary. But it was so much fun because of how difficult it was. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we got a dub, Umbra. I got a
Yeah,
couple
so
of dubs with OBM and Panda.
So I actually heard something about that. They actually blocked all of the players that had a skill issue with Legendary.
Is
So
that why you haven't been able to get into a match?
so that
That's
the
unfortunate.
people
Bro.
who could actually play.
You set yourself up for that one. He had you on, he was on timing for that. Yeah.
My AI is upset with you.
Megatron.
We got to move on to
December?
December. BlizzCon announced Vessel of Hatred, so we're getting that. I think that's dropping. It's already dropped, or it's on its way soon. And Like a Dragon Gaiden dropped out as it was in, I believe, Game Pass as well. So that was a big month. But we're going to move on to December, the final month, December. I think I'm getting good at that. Right, I should make that a permanent thing.
Yeah.
My bad.
Mic a little bit though, because it cuts out. You know, you gotta.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
It doesn't cut out enough, Umbra. It doesn't cut out enough.
Yeah.
It's really light. Hargeet only put 3 games in: Avatar, The Finals,
so-
and Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really enjoying Avatar. December wasn't big for me because I've basically been playing Call of Duty, but a massive thing happened in December. Riskit lost his other knee because the day before released.
Yeah, so Pete owes his knees because it was a scam. Said a scam from day one. It's widely regarded as a
The
scam. And
bet-
Pete's like, no, it's a real
The
game.
bet was if it releases, he loses.
We have to.
his
We're
knee.
going to
He
have to go
tries
back and have a look at this. We're going to have to go back and look at this thing because I definitely said it was a scam. Nothing to do with releasing. Definitely.
It was a scam.
It was definitely a scam. That was unfortunately not the bet.
The knees are mine. Mine. GTA 6 got leaked like a few hours before it was supposed to drop. And you know what? I don't feel bad about that at all because if you play any kind of footage of GTA 5, any footage at all, they will DMCA strike your channel. Like you just cannot put a single thing that Rockstar has like out on your channel. They'll just DMCA you and take the money for it. So that to me is absolutely disgraceful. They do it to everyone. And so I just say, suck it. But it looked good.
Yeah, I agree.
Look good and they make great games. So I'm pretty interested to see where that's coming. What was that? Was in 2025, right? We're due to see that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not getting it this year, and we were thinking that we were going to get it because they said that they were going to sell so well. I think this financial year, so that was a little bit strange. I thought. Another crazy thing happened. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla DLC dropped for free, which I think is really unexpected, and I think it shows a new direction that PlayStation's going in. Maybe a little bit of an apology to their fans for their lackluster year.
Yeah, I think a little bit of an apology to the fans for having a lackluster year, and also a bit of a response to Xbox buying up ABK and them quivering at the knees. Nintendo, Xbox got 3 game awards between them, and PlayStation got 0 game awards, as Hargeet put it out in the chat.
Spider-Man got a grand total of 0 out of 7 attempts for any award.
And Spider-Man walked away with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Which I think, is fair because, look, if they had kept the bullshit, I honestly would take points off for a game with all the BS. I missed it. It's close. Drink again. I would take points off for all of the wokeism that we had in that. So it was bad. Like it was really bad. It was really pushed in your face. It came out with an agenda. I don't think it deserved an award.
It annoyed me greatly. Also, just the design, like. After a point, you're running around and you're doing side missions for people. It's like, why am I doing this? I'm Spider-Man. Why am I
Mhm.
helping people for the prom? Come on, like it's stupid. So some of that too. It's a mixture of that. As far as this month, though, the strongest game released. What would we say? What would we say was the best game this week?
Definitely
Not the day
Avatar.
before, since the day before flopped. So,
Definitely.
yeah,
I think Avatar was
Avatar.
yeah.
Well, we got Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox
That's true.
December
On
too.
Xbox we did get it. I'd say that's the strongest release for Xbox. Yep. 110%.
Yeah. Thoroughly
I-
enjoying that game. We tried to play at Risk, and I don't know what's going on, but we played 6 hours, none of it saved. So
Yeah, so-
incredibly disappointing.
It was disappointing. And Hagi also pointed out the Game Awards Blade, Kojima OD, and Hell 2 Combat was shown. I think it was a solid Game Awards showing, and a lot of people bitched about it, and that it was more of an ad. I don't come for the awards, I come for the ads, but I can see the point. I get it. Like, the developers deserve their time on stage. They absolutely do. And especially when you consider that they may work on a game for years, and then end up, in not getting a minute, not even a minute, 30 seconds on stage. It's probably not enough. Shout out to Bobby, man. Sorry to hear that, dude. That's horrible. Yeah. That is a terrible, terrible thing.
I read his comment before, and I made a joke on it, thinking he's talking about gaming. I'm like, yes, the PlayStation sucked in December. He's talking about something serious.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother.
Yeah, horrible to hear. Shout out to you, man. Bobby is our resident pony, but we love him anyway. Yeah, sorry about your dad, man.
I was trying to get at you because you were a pony, Bobby. I didn't know there was something serious like that. But yeah, shout out to your father, man, and respect to you, and condolences to your family. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Moving back to
I don't
something.
really know where to go from there, but yeah, I was just going to say that Marvel Blade got announced by Arcane Studios. Really, really cool looking game. I love that Arcane's making it. Glad that Xbox finally got a Marvel IP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't be sorry, Bobby. That's all good, man. And Naughty Dog cancelled Factions as well. That happened. And then we had the Insomniac hack that's just let out all sorts. You got a playable build of Wolverine. There's a good 25 minutes of the game, not completely polished, but enough so you can understand what the game's going to be about. Combat looked good. We got a roadmap finally for PlayStation. It's about time, even though it leaked. I will say, look, the hack is terrible that they released a lot of the information to the developers, and yes, 110% feel for that. There was a lot of people in the community, in the media that would not cover it. I actually had a couple of prominents unfollow me because we did. And, frankly, this is what we do on the channel. We try to be respectful, but we cover the news, and if it's news, we're going to cover it. Yeah, so I guess anyone else want to cover anything off on December?
No, I think we need to wrap it up, brother.
Nothing else really for December. I guess in real life, I made my move to my new spot. That's about it, and that's been
nice. Yeah, nice.
Tedious, but yeah. Other than that, I think
Holly
reminded me.
I haven't heard any sirens, so they must not know where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been an improvement as far as that goes. I'm off of a main street, so yeah, luckily.
It is weird not hearing sirens every episode, I have to
say. Moving on up.
I'll send them the address, so they must miss you.
Not to the east side.
Right, not to the east side, though. Don't want to go over there. O Block, no.
Well, I mean, that was the year. So overall, for me, it was an absolutely fantastic year for me personally. It was a fantastic year. I sort of got back to work, I think late 2022 and going into 2023. Oh, no, it's 2023. I got back to work. Yeah, so I got back to work. I had a back injury. I was off for 2 years, so that was good. Some changes in life, and there was just a ridiculous amount of games to play. I got to meet some amazing people at FanFest, like once in a lifetime experience. Hopefully not a once in a lifetime experience. I hope to be back. It was just honestly a fantastic year. I think the podcast, we've had a fantastic year as a group of people. And we've added another amazing person to the show and gotten rid of, one person left the show as well. And Umbra, I've run out of stuff to say. How was your year?
Yeah, it was an interesting year, man. I mean, we had a lot of ups and downs from, and I'm just speaking of industry wide, like, people being let go. As beautiful as it was for us having great games throughout the year, for pretty much stacked every month, it was the unfortunate news of people losing their jobs. So the human element, as they always try to say in this moment to sound so concerned, definitely feel sorry for those folks who were affected by that, and I hope everybody lands on their feet. But other than that, man, I want to thank these
Can I add
developers
to
that
that
put
just
their
quickly?
blood, sweat, and tears into it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All said and told, 2023 saw 9,000 developer layoffs. So I did say I was going to say something and I forgot. But I just, in a year where we've seen so many fantastic games, we've seen so many games, so many studios and publishers succeed and make profit, to have a year where we lose 9,000 developers. That's 9,000 people who have talent that they can add to any studio or publisher. It's actually a really sad thing. So I wanted to shout out to all those developers that made the games that we love this year. And I really hope that they land on their feet and they find, a more stable sort of spot. And for those that leave the industry and never come back, thank you for all the time you spent making those games for us, because we really enjoy every single one. And I know that a lot of gamers act like, petulant children, and complain about the games. But honestly, every second that we spend in your game is bringing us joy. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those people, and I really hope that you guys do land on your feet. Sorry, Umbra, to cut in.
If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. Just made me think of "Thank You" by Led Zeppelin when you were saying that. Anyway, yeah, man. Other than that, it has been a journey, of course, with you guys, and I have been very, very happy. All of us have, and bringing in our newest member, Holly. So don't want to ignore that part. And Holly, I mean, you had the honor of meeting me and Riskit and Pete. So yeah, especially me. I want to emphasize that.
The one that the podcast is named after, I know.
That's right. See? She gets it. This is why you were a worthy addition. No, but I want to thank the chat too, honestly. And I don't say this to sound sappy, but man, I mean, you guys have been with us for a while now. It's been 2 years, going on 3. Like, I mean, it's been a minute. And I know some of you guys, from Twitter to here. So I just want to thank you guys for holding us down and really being here with us throughout all of this too. And I think we're going to have a great year. So let's have us a great 2024. Obviously, condolences to you, Bobby Hawk, and your father's situation, rather. And I even wrote something like that to bring in the new year, saying that some of us, we lost people. I don't want to ignore that like we did. As my grandmother would tell me, it's a time and a season for everything, right? A time for life, a time for death, all these other things. So the important part is keeping sure and holding on to those memories, Bobby Hawk, of your father. You know what I mean? That matters the most. Because him being an ex-bot, that surely tells us that he was a good dude. Although you tried to corrupt him at the end to turn him into a pony. But yeah. Yeah. Oh, I told O'Donnell I would hit this before I go. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day.
Emotional, damn it.
When it's cold outside.
No, God, please, no.
I've got the month of May. All right, that's enough.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
I said Riskit is an overload. Listen, I want to sign out. You guys can find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter, X. You know where I'm at. Of course, 3 shows Xbox Factory with Boom and Cast on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Eastern. My show, The Fix, on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And of course, come back here with us here on the Infinite Podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern as well. Am I right? It's 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock Eastern? 7 o'clock Eastern now for us here on Fridays. So
for the moment,
much love to you guys. Yes, thank you. Yes, and thank you guys for being here with us.
Yeah. Absolutely, you guys have been amazing in the chat. I'll add to that as well, but I'll come back to that. Pete, fantastic year. One to look back on. Some crazy times. Been through a lot of stuff. And I'll get to these super chats before I do sign out. I've got a habit of forgetting them when we're at the end of the show, so I won't forget. Pete, let people know where they can find you and whatever else you want to say about the year.
JediKnightPeter everywhere. Yeah, 2023 was probably my second favorite year of gaming of all time. Just a little bit behind 2007. And yeah, so many standouts. Jedi Survivor, Diablo 4, Hogwarts, Starfield. Thoroughly enjoyed my time gaming, making memories with you guys. Meeting Holly was amazing. Great addition to the show. Thank you, chat, for all love and support. And let's do it this year as well.
Absolutely. Holly, let people know where they can find you. I personally, for my personal part, when we're saying heartfelt things, I have been unsure about you being on the show. I've, probably, no, kidding. See the face change? You're an absolutely fantastic addition
too
to the
much
show.
laughing going on here.
It's great. It is honestly great to have you on and get your takes and your perspectives. And I really enjoyed our time in LA. So hopefully we'll get to do that again this year. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to Gamescom, so I might miss this year and catch the next one. But we'll catch up again. And hopefully Umbra will come along this time. And Pete, maybe we'll convince you by 2030. People know where they can find you and what you want to say about the year.
Well, big surprise. That's my name, and that's where I am. Everywhere. Xbox, PlayStation, which I don't turn on very often, and my Switch, and even a PC, because I bought a PC. I'm still buying the PC. So, thank you, chat. And honestly, this year has ended, or last year, I guess, ended very differently than I ever thought it would have when it started. I just really enjoy gaming, and I went to FanFest and fell into meeting you guys, and Riskit took a chance on me, and everything is just turning up roses, and I really appreciate it to all three of you. And I just want to say thanks, and thank you to chat for being nice to me, and Yodani, you make me laugh, funny, and I appreciate you too. And everybody, I will see you throughout the week, and I'm also on the Renegade Realm podcast at 5 p.m. Central Tuesday nights.
Renegade Realm podcast. Yeah, absolutely. Get along and check that one out. That's Red Wolf's podcast. He is a hilarious guy. If you want to see ADD on steroids, he is your guy.
Red, Assassin, DeMarco. It is a really great show.
It is.
I was there, by the way, when DeMarco called you stupid. I was like, wow, this is how they treat her over here.
He will never live that down. He will never live it down. No.
Yeah, look.
No.
Again, for my part, I already said most everything about. But guys in the panel, you guys have been with us. Pete and Umbra, you've been with it for day one, and Holly this year. Yeah, it's been a bit of a ride, and we're not done. We're going to keep on going. We will not quit. The two last super chats I've got to read out is, I think this is, and I'm gonna have to bleep this one out. PlayStation 5 remake station. Sony can innovate. No multiplayer games. Yeah, fair. I think a fair, reasonable comment. Well thought out. He said, yeah, show Holly love, everyone. Fantastic panel member with an already stacked all-star cast. Fridays are better with you guys. 2024 and the up and up. Thank you, Yodani. You're an absolute legend. He's been with us from the beginning
Much
as well.
love, brother.
And
One
I'll
of our
also
original
say,
moderators.
someone said it was Captain Crunch. She said Holly is an angel for putting up with you guys. You don't know the half of it. You got to see a little bit of it today. But yeah, we're terrible. But we have a lot of fun. So and it's all in good laughs. So guys in the chat, thank you for joining us. It's been a humongously long show. I think we're tipping the 3.5 hours, getting to 4 hours. So
We're in Umbra territory.
Yeah.
we're in
I
Umbra
was worried
territory.
about this episode when you mentioned what we were going to go on a monthly basis. I thought this was going to be 4 hours, but I enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed it. It was a great show. And it was great to look back on such a great year in gaming. I mean, going back and just remembering what we went through last year, there was, so many things I forget. So, yeah, it was a great show.
Needs to get that. What's Haba Baloma, whatever it is. This stuff.
Ginkgo biloba.
Ginkgo
Hey, Agnes,
biloba.
I got the ginkgo. I got the ginkgo and the Spanish fly. You ready? Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you guys next week. We'll be back live again on the Infinite Podcast, giving you the tip each week.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Later, guys.
Just a tip.
Just the tip.
Gotta
get
get
the whole
them
thing
all the
unless
way
it's a
in.
special week. You get the whole thing.